Beep boop.
Boop.
Beep.
Boop.
Beady boop. Beady
Beep.
boop.
Beat.
Beep boop boop.
Beep.
Boop.
Beats. Beats. Beats.
Like
Beats. 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 Beats.
We're back to finish off this game, which we started a while ago.
Like before PAX.
Yeah, because like I think that there was that week, so it's been like what, 2 weeks since we touched this last.
3 maybe.
3 maybe, something like that.
Hi everyone. We're both back.
We're both back. Hey. So what was your impressions of this game?
I'm still not quite sure what it's doing. I'm not a huge fan of the idea that, it's like, well, we decided to split the world into 3 societies to explore these 3 facets of to explore the 3 facets of humans. And then they went to war with each other because ideologies are bad. So
yeah.
I really want to see where it goes with that.
Yeah. I think that I am more critical of this the second playthrough, because the first time I played, I was like, oh, this is really cool, and I think I give games like this a lot of shures.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Because you bothered to make a narrative-driven game.
Yeah,
and maybe the ones that get made are not the best, but that's just because not many get made at all.
Yeah.
So
well, I'm very patient with things that are pretentious. Mainly because I'm pretentious.
Yeah.
And I want to see people try.
Yeah,
without necessarily being like. Nah.
You know what that makes me think of? It was Gabe who said it during Strip Search. He was like, pretentious is a word used by non-artists to describe anybody who's done anything with their fucking life.
I want to get that on a poster.
I do, and it's like, you know what? That's actually true.
Yeah.
And that's not.
No, that was Tycho.
Yeah, that's not to say that the prose isn't like really, purple and wanky. But you know what? They're fucking trying to do something.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
yeah.
I approach pretension the same way a lot of other people approach, or not a lot of other people, but the way I've seen people suggest that you approach fan fiction, right? Where it's like, sometimes it's just like, somebody's expressing themselves, and you have to be like, good for you.
Read between the lines.
Yeah.
It's like, what is this really about?
Yeah.
It's like, okay. And
then offer honest criticism as well.
Yeah.
Right? Which is what we try to do here.
Yeah.
Instead of just being like, LOL, they said brain words.
God, I get so fucking worried that anytime somebody tells me that I'm intelligent, I'm like, what in the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, what was
Is it
that
because I use $5 words? How did I trick you?
Yeah, exactly.
No!
Right? It's like, anytime anyone says I'm smart, I'm like,
what?
Oh, we're in deep shit if I'm smart. If at least 75% of people aren't smarter than me, we're in deep shit.
Wah, wah. All right. So let's get back to it.
Okay. Continue.
I'm hoping that there's a little bit left and it's not just 10 minutes. That'll be really awkward.
Yeah. Behemoth. Right. Okay. So this right.
one.
Yes. The touchstone or the conceit or our anchor here.
Yeah. I don't want to learn.
We're home.
We've been in deep shit since we left the trees. Just different types of shit. So.
Yeah. I like the fee. Or
right.
Is it a theta?
Theta or the Phyrexian symbol or deep cuts where the film or lens
Oh,
CC
yes.
Oh, here he goes.
I remember the slight touch of ocean air passing over my skin as I stared aimlessly into the afternoon sky. It's interesting how, though generally more depressing, I actually preferred a cloudy sky to a clear one. 2 vast expanses of blue separated do not have that quality of diversity that a more speckled display boasts. This is not to say that a cloudy sky is wholly unfortunate, because there were moments amidst the grey that I learned to dwell in. I learned to live in the moments where the heavens would tear through the sky as if digging through dirt, creating little bursts of pastel light in the otherwise desaturated gloom. It's as if clouds are nothing but a frame. I wonder if without them, happiness would turn into a flat portrait of stagnation.
I will say this game's real gorgeous.
It is.
I mean, it's maybe the inevitable result of when you choose to do a narrative style game. A lot of the legwork you would ordinarily associate with a video game is not always necessary.
Ooh.
Like, functionally, this game is real simple. Like, you have a player that can move around and inspect objects, and that's basically the extent of your interaction.
Yeah.
So you save on stuff like AI, stuff like XP systems, like items, all that shit. Is Gesundheit. Really.
Believe it.
Yeah. And so you can reinvest that time, hypothetically, into visuals, which are important.
Right.
It would be nice if, investing it into writing is another challenge.
Well, I was going to bring up how the repeated use of the labyrinth is kind of interesting in a game like
right,
this.
Right, the labyrinth as distinct from the maze, which I didn't know there was a difference.
Yeah, the labyrinth is never splits, right? It never... the labyrinth is just one path convoluted in on itself.
Mm-hmm.
So, in a game like this, you're not quite on a rail, but you kind of are.
Oh, check it out. That boy's on a rail.
Craterhoof.
It's a Minotaur.
It is.
I do like how big these late game visuals are.
Yeah.
Like, they really go for spectacle. Like, the game started with a very narrow point of view, and we've ended up with these, enormous vistas.
Yeah.
I always like it when video games do stuff like this, that they... I think in some ways, a lot of games are a little too reserved with the freedom that they actually have access to. They're like, okay, we'll put, some forests in a mountain. It's like, you can dream bigger than that.
Yeah, you can
dream much bigger. You have unlimited space and volume, and you can bend physics to your will. I think we got a little bit of that in stuff like the Alice in Wonderland game.
Oh, yeah,
it had
Alice.
some pretty wild stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But yeah, you can... Well, I remember way back when I was a teenager, Prey was going to be a huge deal because it had the Portal engine, where you could walk through a door. Like, a friend of mine described seeing one video where the protagonist opens the door to an outhouse, and inside the outhouse is a cathedral, right? So these places are spaces that can't occur in real space.
Yep. Yeah, you have the ability to completely go, not follow any physical laws, and also, build sets with an unlimited, well, not unlimited budget, but a pretty generous budget.
Yeah, you can leverage...
at least in terms of scale.
You can leverage a budget quite far.
Yeah.
Well, it said make the leap. So...
Can you jump in this game? Alley-up? Alright. Sure, why not? We...
It lied!
Game over. You died.
Wasted.
Wasted.
The Liap.
The Liap. So we have 2 chapters?
I
Can we
guess
shut
so.
the door?
It's probably fine.
Fuck.
Unless it starts disrupting things.
Mustn't be afraid to dream a little bigger, darling. Yeah. Here we are in the tube station.
We're almost there, Leviathan. The final step between me and the old city's upon us. I wish I could take you along.
Smoke.
Or smokes. And a
That's
can
a perfectly
of
good tin of something.
Northern Star tuna?
Mm-hmm.
Smeat.
Smoking are bad for you. That's true. Listen to Ben. Nice dab.
Half dab.
Half dab.
Remain behind yellow line at all times. Breaking the law. Breaking the law.
An eye on a phone. That's interesting. I mean, this icon's shown up a lot in the game
Yeah.
to just sort of indicate something. It was which faction was it associated with? One of them.
Right.
Yeah, they had the fucked up water
Mm-hmm.
that everybody was getting visions from.
Will you remember me?
Oh, this is so pretty.
After all, I could never forget you. And how can I even begin to thank you for all that you've done for me? You protected me from a world that I was too weak to bear. But now the distant shores of another reality are calling me home. To something I've never seen before. A dangerous and unpredictable world lies ahead of me. But I'm ready to let loose the sails.
Like, there's a great deal of care put into levels like that. It's interesting because a level like this in a traditional game that you would probably have the player running through a bunch of times. I mean, depending on the genre. There's almost like a mismatch in how much work has to go into versus how much like screen time a set sees. It's almost like a motion picture. You know, like how it's like we spent $5 million on this shot that's 4 seconds long, but it's really important.
Right.
And you know, it's like we obviously spent a shit ton of time on this level that the character is
Here
going
it
to
is.
walk through
The leap.
in like a couple minutes.
Goodbye, my old friend.
Oh, what's that up above? Tez.
Fontes. Watch your step.
I shan't.
Well, we did call it the leap.
Yep. I have a horrible suspicion that this may actually just be like 10 minutes. Wah! We can do it! Gesundheit.
Excuse me.
The new.
If this final dream before the new is to be trusted, then all life follows the pattern of broken progression. Some call it redemptive history, still others call it galvanization, yet the trajectory is undoubtedly the same. We exist on a familiar shoreline, with the waters lapping at our feet. We look back and see an explored and thus frozen world. Then, as if subconsciously recognizing the need for change, we dive into a prison of even further inactivity. My prison was my only friend, it seems, but even he saw fit to spit me upon a new shore.
What new shore might this be, I wonder?
I wonder.
I wonder. Smell that. My band's in pieces. Ooh. Fantastical gardens. The thing I think I'd like to see a lot more of in narrative style games with this is just like stuff for you to do that like maybe even a literal ability to smell the flowers.
Yeah.
But as, you know, extended to anything else. Like I love being able to just like pick up stuff and look at it.
Yeah. I think that would be really welcome here.
Yeah.
some way of interacting with this world other than just being kind of on this path.
You know what? It's a little bit like a museum exhibit.
I could see that. Yeah.
Except that like you're actually inhabited it, and the exhibits are not like discreetly roped off for you to pass through. You kind of like walk through it, which is like, you know, a step removed from an actual museum, which makes it kind of interesting that you are actually walking through it. But
oh, excuse me.
What do we got here?
A text.
Shall we?
The one constant between the factions is distrust in this new world, the world of ideas. Then again, this makes sense given that their ideas are not truly their own. What's most interesting to me is that their ideas are based on essentially nothing, which is by no means a bad thing if only they could recognize it. They have the same core in Abyss, but the deduction can still function. I understand the need to push their ideas to make them win out in this abstract world they share with the others, because truth must be compatible with itself. However, once the core is unveiled as void, one cannot be certain that their own ideas are the most fit for survival. Thus, the ideas need to do battle with themselves, and by themselves, in the world of the mirrors, the dream. If truth must be compatible with itself, making it singular and unchanging, you need only let your ideas, the ones that you hold dear, exist in the same space, the same dream as the others that you reject. The mind will never be able to see truth in its fullest extent, but the sea of minds we call humanity will uncover it piece by piece if the ideas are left alone to do their work. Not through violence, rules, activism, or education will the ideas evolve. Only through idealism can the ideas be truly changed for good. A marginal effect, yes, but we must make giant leaps as individuals towards the idea, knowing that will result in only a small step for mankind, because your experience and your individuality is worth nothing in the light of the greater and entirely imaginary eschaton. You cannot expect the others to take this leap with you. Rather, you can only model that leap for future minds. You can only point in the direction of the ideal, rushing towards it with all of your might, knowing that you would never reach it in 1,000 ages. You will never see the dream realized. It is for this reason that this new world is useful beyond escape. Nineveh needs only the ideas and nothing more. Not destruction, not legal action, not social reform, and not decay. Nineveh only needs the ideas and the ideas alone. You need them as well, and you must resist the urge to sail into oblivion, to Tarshish. Rather, sail into discovery. Sail to a world where your ideas die and new ones take their place, so you can bring back your findings to the world, to Nineveh, and enjoy their fruits. Trust stupid ideas to die with stupid people. Jonah.
So, walking sim style games like this have been sharpening themselves up since they began getting made, not all that long ago, but they are sort of stuck somewhat with a handful of tools that they're still trying to get on top of and invent new tools. So for the most part, this style of game tells its story through, the player being able to explore environments through, text, sometimes, through audio log and voiceover. And those all hinge pretty hard on the quality of writing. But they are ultimately still maybe not the ideal tools to be sort of like creating a narrative of this style.
Well, this does remind me a lot of like, early films.
Yeah,
right.
They're doing their best with what they have, I think.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure they're doing their best with what they have. They're doing their best with what they understand. Right? Where early films used a lot of the same tricks that you see on stage. Right?
Yeah, well, because they were evolved. They were a sort of extension of theater. It was just like, oh, this is just theater, but we'll record it.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't till later that they were like, this medium has its own language and its own tools to use. So the reason some of those.
I won't lie, I do miss Leviathan. It wasn't his fault that I was a parasite. But was he necessary at all? After being cast out, was devolution in his stomach the appropriate next step? Why couldn't I have simply washed ashore to the old city?
The reason they look sort of like corny and maybe don't age so well or are just like really overwrought, is because they're just taking theater and recording it. I'm going to invoke Citizen Kane.
Right.
Because that's the... So, that film has a reputation for being the greatest motion picture ever made.
Right.
And, well, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
However, it was a pioneering film in that it utilized the language of film itself to tell the story.
Yeah. Well,
and that was a big fucking deal.
Yeah, well, it synthesized a lot of things that had been kind of floating around for a little while into one kind of, like, working whole. And, like, Mia always is like, well, I mean, like, it used a lot of tricks that had been used by other people, but not as well.
Exactly.
Basically.
Yeah, it wasn't the first one to do that, but it was maybe the one that made it all work together the best for the first time.
Yeah.
So it's like you had a film that was just like, what if we used camera movement to tell a story? What if we used framing to tell the story? What if we used editing to tell the story?
Perhaps Leviathan existed for me to discover him, even if that which I explored was my prison. Perhaps I simply needed to see the stagnation before evolving.
And yeah, walking sim style games are maybe in a similar boat, where it's just like they have aspirations of what could be, in terms of storytelling through the medium of video games. And
when I was a child, I was given a rowboat. I wanted to sail, so the universe built me a galleon. How unfortunate that, when I got older, I no longer wished to explore.
Yeah, like, these games are borrowing a lot from, like, more traditional, like, more conventional video games. Like, the fact that we're walking around in a first-person perspective is actually just the genetics of Wolfenstein. Which isn't to say that it's not a good...
not a good tool.
Not a good tool. But there is that similarity there where it's just like, some of the good lessons have been taken from a medium that this has maybe been extrapolated out from, or maybe even just a genre that is being extrapolated out from. But we're not the whole way there yet.
Yeah.
But they're trying. And man, I give credit for people who do that.
I am going to explore again. I'm going to board my vessel and sail into an unknown world to dream all the more. I'll leave this dream behind to feel the sand of other shores in my hand and let it loose as I travel inward towards newness. First, however, I'll make one last dive into abyss.
We should probably check out the table.
Oh, right, yeah.
There's all these statues.
Yeah, well, I want to say we've been through this room before, but we haven't.
Maybe we visited it fleetingly. Excuse me.
But now there are people here. Well, representations of people.
Yeah. Go.
Cool.
Go.
A good.
Okay. I can't read. Yeah, I think I agree with Lawn Dragon. Dark Souls used the video game medium to tell a story really well. Like, that style of storytelling doesn't work in any other medium. And, there's problems with that, but, like, the way Dark Souls told its story was really interesting and pretty unique to video games. It's part of the reason why it kind of resonated with me so much. I was like, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah.
It's like, it's all here. I just have to go find it.
Or even just notice it.
Yeah, notice it. And also, like, the noticing and engaging and rooting it out was part of the experience. And I was like, that's so fucking cool. Also, really hard bosses.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like a rare thing where it managed to combine like really good gameplay and storytelling and.
Here
So-
lies my captor, the great sleeping fish.
Somewhere. Oh, this is cool. Also,
My foundation's been disintegrated. I'm left with nothing but void. However, the baby of belief need not be thrown out with the bathwater of certainty. An assertion from an assumption is still an assertion, making any deduction from that foundation subject to critique. I may not be able to deduce from a place that I know to be true, but that which I deduce
Yeah,
from my
sister.
dreams must still be compatible with itself.
like, what was I gonna say? Getting something to look dreamlike is
Like
Ooh,
a
look.
child, I regressed with no end. Over and over I asked, why? As each answer demanded further questioning. Eventually, I convinced myself that the regression was nonsensical, by nature of it being childish. But what if that childlike curiosity is the vessel that can bring us to usefulness? What if we put aside the certainty and adopt discovery?
Yeah, making something look dreamlike is, at least from like an aesthetic point of view, is kind of a tricky thing to do.
Yeah, well, so much of dreams is very personal and particular to us.
But there
right?
are definitely like universal or like common themes that you'll find. It's just like this location, only something's weird about it. You know, so like you can do simple things like this location, but it's underwater, or it's just sort of like mashed up with something else like that. I don't know about you, but there's a
I think
handful
I was
of-
wrong.
Oh, here it comes.
Dover isn't where my dreams died. It's where one dream took over. I dreamt that I had no dreams. I dreamt that Dover smothered my belief with certainty. In truth, a truth that I cannot know, Dover ran red. The dream of realism created a monopoly of comfortable stagnation that held me hostage until I could do nothing but cling to Leviathan's innards for safety. My belief was not truly killed, it was captured. One belief was deemed more true than another, and I convinced myself that I was correct. I convinced myself that I could be correct. What if this dream's monopoly was disintegrated? What if I could explore a multiplicity of dreams, never quite knowing which ones are a reality? Truth must be compatible with itself, but what happens when truth is unattainable?
Man, this sounds like the narrative that runs in my head when I'm like having anxiety.
Huh.
You just like latch onto one stupid idea and you're like, no, this is true, everything else is bullshit. It's like, but wait, no, just this one thing that just happens to be the thing that makes you the most upset all the time. That's the true one. Everything else is bullshit. It's like, but no,
But-
just this one, just the one that you hate the most. It's like, okay. It sucks. I love these statues that are so big that they like are visible from the secondary floor.
Yeah.
I would tell myself that the real world has shown itself like a clear blue sky, spotless in its vast and flat nature. I tricked my own mind into believing that belief itself was not present. Now that the illusion has been revealed, I'm left believing that I can't know.
I need to sit down with a bottle of Jack and try to work things out.
Oh God, excuse me.
Truth must be compatible with itself based on a starting point I can't prove. I can't assert which dream is not a dream at all because they're all just dreams. Why not discover the dreams I can't control, rather than hiding portions of them away to let what I was certain of flourish?
Oh boy. Is that... That's teeth.
Those are teeth.
Those are big teeth. Oh, he's... That's a thing. He's gonna eat you. Oh, hi. Hello. Did we fuck up? Oh boy. No, I think we gotta go in there. I like that it's a whale with like giant human-shaped molars.
Yeah.
That's like really weird. See, this is the kind of thing I would associate with a dream, where it's just like you take two vaguely related things and sort of mash them together, and they're just like, this is weird, but I'm going to be okay with it.
Yeah. Well, like the biblical fish that swallowed Jonah is always described as a fish. Right? Yeah. It's
actually a whale is not as...
Yeah, but it's the word used is fish, right?
Big old fish. Here we go.
One last look at my cage. One last dive into the abyss of negativity. A terrible world full of terrible people, yes, but that can be changed. Epistemic humility can regress to the deconstruction of stagnation. What I previously thought to be stagnation itself, the lack of any true knowledge, is simply the deconstruction of an anchor, freeing us to traverse the unexplored.
So, we're following this character's sort of emotional and philosophical journey with an actual journey. And, oh yeah, here it is.
We're home again.
Yeah, we're home again. And it's just like, again, maybe it's wordy and
the depths.
pretentious and
I
all
confronted
that
the
stuff,
bottom of the redemptive check
but it's
mark.
kind of clever.
I was far more negative than those who still cling to certainty. But that's part of the progression. It's part of the broken progression. In this respect, we cannot improve without first deconstructing. Now, all that's left is to rise to the surface, board my vessel, and set sail for a new and terrifyingly uncertain world. The old city has called, and I wish that more would have the bravery to join me on my journey.
So, you'll notice a bunch of the props from that, like...
Yeah, from the child's
from
room.
the child room are here.
Yeah.
So it's just like, maybe these were here the whole time. I mean, they tell you from the beginning that, like, we can't trust what the character sees.
Yeah.
Yeah, overwrought and wordy is probably a good way to describe this. But you know what? It's like... I kind of dig it. Clunk. Like guitar, like squeal, saying... and then like credits roll.
Choose difficulty.
How fucked would that be? Oh, and we're back here. Retention.
Old
city retention. Oh, like, I love these mega structure walls. Like these colossal reinforcements. This would be a really great setting to tell a lot more stories. Just like the idea of this like enclosed island. Oh, there's a... Oh, right.
Yeah,
there's
yeah, now we're able to cross a bridge there.
Ah.
So we willingly step into it.
Hooray. Let's see. I think that might be it. There might be some post-credit stuff. We'll see. You were lost at sea. This feels kind of like the allegory of the cave. Like what? Plato's cave?
Yeah.
Wait for it. Will I be playing Hive Swap for New Day Tuesday? Maybe. Right, it just came out.
Ooh.
All right.
Okay.
So. That's
So
that.
what? Yeah.
So what? Yeah, like I think I'm just gonna reiterate my thoughts. That I really appreciate watching the successes and failures of games in this genre, because I think it's quite a young genre. I think it's a really exciting and interesting genre, and like I cut a lot of slack to ones that even like that kind of punt sometimes, or just like aren't as good as they could be. I love this shit. If for no other reason than what discoveries it makes and what like paths it sort of like what trails it blazes.
Yeah.
Because like someday we're gonna get something like truly magnificent, like something transcendently good. And for every Firewatch or Dear Esther, there's going to be a bunch of games like this that are like not even bad.
Yeah, but
they're just sort of like bumbling around in trying new stuff and maybe not getting exactly what they want.
Yeah,
but still covering ground nonetheless, because like figuring out what doesn't work and what we can criticize about how this can and can't work is just as valuable as things that do work. So
oh, excuse me. Yeah.
Dear Fire and Esther Watch. Oh, and Gone Home. I've not actually played What Remains of Edith Finch. Is that one good?
I have not, actually.
We should try it.
Yeah. I mean, I would also like to bring, like, Life is Strange in here at some point, the new one.
Yeah, you said it was good.
Yeah, I really liked it, actually.
I was surprised because, like, when I heard about it, I was like, new team, different voice actors, no rewind mechanics. Like, how in the fuck are they going to make this work?
Well, I mean, as it turns out, what the core of Life is Strange was about this experience of adolescence, right? It wasn't... Max's rewind mechanic was a way of, like, basically perfectly navigating adolescence, or what you think is the perfect navigation
as
of it.
As opposed to, like, the horrible, like, clusterfuck that it actually is.
Yeah.
It's like, no, fuck, no! If only I could rewind time.
Yeah. And like, the experience of Life is Strange is, like, when you can rewind time, you wind up having, like, the perfect flaw, always knowing what to say, and things still go to shit anyway.
Yeah.
Because you're only perfect on the micro scale.
Yeah.
Right? And the new one, the prequel, when you're playing Chloe, is, like, wonderful because Chloe is kind of a mess, but she's also, like, secretly very intelligent and a giant nerd.
Cool. Well, I mean,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, maybe that's the thing that, we need to become aware of in this sort of game, is like the actual important thing is not even the mechanics or visuals or what have you. It's the fucking story.
Yeah. Yeah, like, what story are you trying to tell here? Because, like, I think the Old City's story gets lost in its convolutions.
Yeah,
I
think you could have told, like, this story with half or maybe even a third as many words.
Yeah, well, especially considering that, like, it gives you a lot to look at, and then you're also trying to navigate this world, and then also having some guy being like, hey, I'm gonna talk at you. Right? So you're reading these subtitles, and yeah.
So,
or pausing to, like, read a book.
Yeah.
In the middle of it. And I'm not sure it uses the tools terribly well.
I've never been a fan of, like, book reading in video games. Because it's like... my favorite thing in games are really, really short, succinct notes that have their own distinct personality.
Okay.
Like something scribbled on the back of a postcard from a specific location.
Yeah.
Or like, a post-it note using a particular type of handwriting and a particular type of marker or something that, like, says something about who wrote it, when and why and how.
Right.
Like, that's so much more interesting because...
Well, like, yeah, I mean,
for example, somebody's phone number written on the inside of a matchbook.
Yeah.
with a couple matches missing. Like, that's a fucking story in itself. It's like, oh, this was obviously something, you picked up. You got someone's digits. You or they are a smoker or something.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Well, games are never going to thrive by trying to tell stories in the same way that other media succeed at telling stories. Right? It's like when you have a movie, like the David Lynch version of Dune.
Yeah.
Right? That relies heavily on voiceovers from characters, and it's a mess because it's trying to tell this book.
Fuck! I was just remembering in Jodorowsky's Dune when he was really apprehensive about seeing that movie, and then he watched it, and he was elated because he's like, it's shit!
Yeah, it's utter shit.
It's utter shit! I'm so happy! I don't need to be worried about this.
Yeah, because it or the original...
For the record, I love that movie.
Yeah, the theatrical cut of Blade Runner.
Oh yeah,
with
with
its voiceovers and
I didn't know how much time we had left.
Yeah, it would be. Cory Doctorow has a talk where he's talking about media basically but his thesis is that he was talking about digital rights management, right? Basically about how digital media weren't going to replace books and they weren't going to replace albums, right? Because they don't do things as well as those old things did, at least when he gave that speech, which was in the early 2000s. And his thing about an e-reader wasn't going to replace a book, which is cheap and disposable and high contrast and
tradable
and pretty tough.
And also just kind of has collector value.
Yeah.
There's a lot of books that I haven't read in a long time, but I just love having them on my shelf.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think in the age of e-readers, where e-readers have really proliferated and found strength, that books have an aesthetic value, right? And I think they're going to take on a role similar to, vinyl albums in an era of digital libraries.
Yeah, it's you know what? I really love that the sort of more, pulpy stuff, I like that people are reading newspapers and magazines and shit electronically, because that stuff's disposable anyway.
Yeah,
you're not gonna catalog that stuff, but the book that was really important to you, you get a physical copy of to have.
Yeah, and I mean oh, excuse me, newspapers and other periodic publications have their own archival value, right? Which was what our friend Mia is doing. But yeah, I don't know, yeah, an actual physical book has its own kind of inherent value, apart from the actual text, which is that it looks nice and feels nice.
Yeah.
Right, and that's okay. It's okay for things to have an aesthetic value.
Yep.
Anyway, I think we're going to take a quick break.
Yeah.
And then come back with XCOM 2.
Yeah, we're going to talk about...
War of the Chosen.
Yeah, because this is one you've been playing.
Yeah, quite a lot. And despite what I kind of went on a Twitter, had a Twitter mini review of it, where I talked about some of the things I liked. I really like this DLC. I talked a lot about where it fell down for me. But I want to talk in particular about the way that it frames resistance and dystopia.
Okay.
But we can also talk about mechanics and things in the game as well.
Yep.
Which I think it's interesting, and I think I'm going to talk about what I found to be its weakest elements, but I want to reiterate that I think it's a good game.
Okay.
So...
Well, we will do that in a moment.
Yeah.
A reminder, we'll do subs at the end of the show, so...
Yeah, we'll be back in 10 minutes, maybe?
Yeah, don't go away.
All right. Everyone, we're going to come back now with... Oh, we should probably change the... and maybe tweet that we're going to...
Yeah.
And then, yeah, we'll need XCOM 2 War of the Chosen. So, what I really wanted to talk about with XCOM 2, or with War of the Chosen, which I think is really excellent, is it's, one, the way it depicts resistance, and the way that it depicts dystopia, because in particular in War of the Chosen we're given villains in the form of the Chosen, which are these 3 alien assassins that are tasked with destroying Xcom, and they have extremely powerful weapons and
It's kind of a shame we
potent
didn't
abilities.
do the first XCOM on this show, but...
I mean, yeah, we can always go
Wait,
back
did
and look.
you? Did you do it when I was away?
No, I did Civilization.
Ah, okay.
And at some point, I really should talk about the original XCOM again, or not the original, but the first one, XCOM. Enemy Within.
How about you give us
Enemy
like
Unknown.
the 10-second shakedown of what the series is actually about?
Okay, XCOM is a strategy game where you are in command of an organization, XCOM, that is tasked with defending the Earth against alien invaders. And this is a game that originally came out in 1994, I think, with XCOM UFO Defense, and has had many games. And it was recently, I think in 2012, 2011, maybe 2013, relaunched for a new generation with XCOM Enemy Unknown, where you were in charge of this organization, this multinational organization that was charged with defending the world from alien invaders, which were beginning to show up in drips and drabs with these little scouting UFOs that would come and kidnap people or conduct some kind of nefarious operation against Earth. And you were supposed to, guide a group of soldiers. You would manage the organization on the strategic level, assigning construction of base facilities and researching alien technologies and trying to reverse engineer them so that you could use their weapons and propulsion technologies against the invaders, in order to discover their plans and then foil them.
Sweet.
And prevent them from sucking out your brains, because the aliens were here because,
They were
of course, as it
suspects.
turns out, humans are, this vast untapped well of psionic potential that they will need to harvest in order to fight their other enemies. Because humans are very special.
All right.
Because
We're always special.
Of course, you need something. Humans have to be inherently valuable, right? Because if to any kind of interplanetary civilization that's capable of crossing, the vast gulf of space, knocking over human government is kind of a thing you do almost accidentally.
Yeah.
Right? I remember reading.
It's funny you mentioned that. The central premise in sci-fi of humanity being important, because Hitchhiker's Guide eschews that entirely. We don't matter.
Yeah.
Our planet gets bulldozed because of a error in bureaucracy.
Yeah, exactly. And,
And,
the
it's the whole premise. It's played for laughs, but it's kind of funny that on a global, universal scale, the same kind of bullshit that happens with Houseplanet. The entire opening sequence is a small scale metaphor for what's going on. Because
Arthur Dent's
house is
being
about to get
demolished.
knocked down because of some bullshit
Yeah.
red tape, and then the planet gets wiped out for the same reason.
Yeah, and the aliens who are in charge of it are the plans have been on record in the Alpha Centauri planning office for the last 50 years, and if we can't be responsible for the fact that you can't be bothered to get off your ass
They
and
use the
launch a
same
proper complaint.
arguments
Yeah.
that the planning council that are trying to
Yeah.
knock down his house use.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
without getting too
Um,
sidetracked into that, I just thought that was an interesting, rejection of
Mm-hmm.
what is pretty typical in sci-fi. Is just Earth is important.
Yeah,
Is it?
apparently.
Apparently,
I know
that's
in
the premise in a lot of stuff. That
I remember in the
were real
Halo
relevant.
games, humans turned out to be basically the precursors who built all of the stuff, built all of the Halos,
Yeah.
and wound up being knocked down to a Stone Age civilization.
Yeah.
And that was who we were. We were the survivors of that, and of course, humans are special.
Yeah.
And in XCOM, it turns out that we have tremendous psychic potential. Anyway, in XCOM 2, it turns out everything after about the second month of XCOM was a dream, as the aliens invaded in force, pushed over everyone, captured you, the player, the commander,
Yeah.
who is very special indeed. You were the most special human of all,
Yeah.
and used you to destroy humanity. And it turned out that every game of XCOM, Enemy Unknown, that you played was canonical. because every game of XCOM you played ended in human defeat.
Woof.
And every defeat of humanity was part of the alien plan, basically. And in XCOM 2, you are busted out of the slammer, essentially, by the Resistance, who are made up of former XCOM operatives who have captured an alien supply ship, the Avenger, and are using it as a mobile base to coordinate other elements of the human resistance. And you have a bunch of like really shitty dudes that follow you around and go and shoot other mans for you. And you are trying to push over the alien collaborator government called Advent, who are evil. And I really want to talk about the ways that Advent are depicted and how it shows them as evil. So we're going to do probably a quick playthrough. I'm not going to play on Legendary because I want to show you the game.
So apparently it's hard as fuck.
Yeah.
I did hear that there's some like kind of bullshit in this game.
I was talking with some people on Twitter, and I was talking with a game designer actually, who said that XCOM's RNG is bad because it's fair. And a fair RNG.
Oh, you know what?
Players say they want fair RNG,
But they actually want skewed RNG.
yeah, and they're liars.
Yeah.
They want RNG that makes them feel
Do
smart.
you know what that's exactly the same as? I don't like playing the game Towerfall, but I'm pretty sure it was Towerfall. There was a little soundbite that I saw where they were working on the parry mechanic.
Yeah.
Where like if somebody shoots you with an arrow, you can like grab it out of the air. And the initial way they had it was that like if it touched you, like you died. And people were like, "Oh, that's bullshit." And so they changed it so that just before it hits you, it pauses for a fraction of a second.
Yeah, so that you actually...
So you have this
Yeah.
the chance to do that.
There was a thread I was following on Twitter just before PAX, I think.
Yeah.
That was a collection of game devs sharing their tricks. Like their hidden tricks for making the player feel good.
Yeah.
And one of the common ones was that the last bullet in a gun does like 10 times damage.
What?
In PvE.
Wow.
So that you can be like, and watching your ammo counter tick down, and then kill the enemy with the last bullet.
And like you're like, "Oh, that was so sweet."
Yeah, like that was so clutch. I just had barely enough in, right? I just had barely enough in the tank, right? Or your last, your health bar is not actually linear. Like the top 2/3 of your health bar tick down really fast, and then the bottom third is actually like 70% of your health bar.
What the fuck?
And the last like little chunk of your health bar is like half of your life.
Wow.
So your health goes wham, 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 and then you're like,
"Oh, I'm so close to dying."
yeah, you spend like 90% of the game with like just this tiny little sliver of health,
That's
and it makes
so
you feel really
interesting.
bad.
Like
it makes you feel really good,
Fuck,
right?
that sounds like something we could spend an entire stream on, maybe. But I think I would like to do it with like a game dev.
Yeah.
All right.
And like these are all tricks that are used fairly ubiquitously in game development to make the player feel good, right? Which is really what you want. You want your players to feel good.
Yeah. Well, because like in a lot of games, not every game, you play it for fun.
Yeah.
Because it's like entertaining. You want to feel awesome because you're like super space fighter man fighting space dudes. You know, in like a lot of video games are power fantasies, and you know there's ways to make that work.
Yeah.
It turns out making them perfectly fair does not
feels
necessarily-
bad.
Feels bad.
Yeah. I'm gonna turn off both of these DLCs because I don't like them.
Okay. Here we go.
Accessing the feed now. We're in.
Hacker.
Okay.
Know for how long.
So this is one of the cities that Advent has
Way too much
rebuilt.
security, even for Advent.
Yeah.
And of course, Advent has like, aha, these are your mans.
Or they're leading us into a trap.
She's your
Only
engineer.
the obvious trap.
Bradford
We need
makes
an
the
army
coffee.
to march in there right
He's on the right.
I like that they don't have uniforms.
Outrider, this is Central.
At least not really. Ninja. Is that an ASVAL? Doop-a-doop-a-doo.
It's a not Vinterez.
Okay.
Or not a not
Huh?
Vinterez.
What was that
It's
noise?
It's SVD.
I see. I am Space Armorman.
Mhm.
While you were conquering the planet, I was studying the blade.
So, of course, Advent soldiers have like this thing that covers their face. You know, they wear this black, intimidating, angular armor. They, like,
I mean, it's the
it uses a lot of the shorthand for like totalitarianism.
yeah.
Of course, all the humans in the game understand their language because they don't speak English; they speak something.
They speak Advent.
No need for
Yeah.
any of this. I will do what you ask of me. I just need additional time.
Shootsman.
Did you say something?
Hello, I am Stalker.
One of those. You must understand. I had no choice. Outrider, report.
Minus 20 IQ points.
So, you do exist.
I'm the player.
Rider to Avenger, I have visual confirmation.
Are you sure?
Reapers are always sure.
I'll take your word for it. Cover your tracks and get the hell out of there. They can't know we were here.
I would really love to read an interview with Marina Sirtis, who voices this character, being like, Reapers again, huh? Because she voiced one of the characters in Mass Effect.
Yeah. Welcome to Glitch Over.
Excitement continues to
Oh,
build
boy.
in city centers across the globe. Prepare for the 20th anniversary of Unification Day.
Thousands line up at the site of the Great Accord, celebrating
So
the
yeah, and then we
formation
also
of
have a
the
lot of
Advent
propaganda, and
Keeping with their promise
There-
to
there-
humanity, 12 new
there's a
cities
discontinuity
opening in
between
select cities by the
anything
end of the new
we would
year.
recognize as being a government and
Fringe elements.
the
Operations
alien
in the
occupation
facility
government.
in
Yeah.
Paris
Right.
thankfully remain unaffected.
Which is something you see in a lot of like specifically American science fiction, where you know the occupiers, the alien occupiers, would never use the American flag, right? They would always replace it with something else. You know that they would have no. That they would have no pretensions to our legitimacy, right?
Yeah.
Peacekeeping forces have already
Oh,
made
peacekeeping.
several preemptive arrests of known collaborators. Advent again assures all citizens that today's celebrations will continue as planned.
Well, that's good. We built the super great cyber future. It's very clean.
Yeah.
You smell. I'm gonna shoot you.
Approaching position.
I like how everyone understands what the peacekeepers say, but we don't.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Even when they're subtitled, right? It's still subtitled with
yeah,
more Balatin.
yeah, more blotted. I mean, it's like, it's a thing to dehumanize them because these are the enemies that you're gonna be mowing down a lot of.
Yeah.
More Balatin. Yeah, there he goes. They really, I mean, they remind me a lot of the Combine,
Yeah, I
which
think
is
they're
the same kind of thing where it's just like humanoid enemies, maybe with some actual like humanity to them. But you can't see who they are
Yeah.
because they're cannon fodder.
Mhm.
Loud and clear. Okay, Gatecrasher. Your turn.
We have the best and shitty guns we could find. Grar.
Advent forces are swarming to the blast point. We need to move on the package.
Oh wait, is this the Oh god, it's the tutorial.
Oh shit.
Okay.
Can you skip the tutorial?
Why don't I just skip through the intro? We'll start a new game and just like skip over it.
Sounds good.
And get to the actual game, and then we'll just blast through the.
I always liked how like multinational the characters in this game actually were.
Yeah.
So it's just like, hey, it's the world versus aliens, and
This is also an interesting choice.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're gonna play without it,
But
I mean, maybe we should.
nah.
Yeah.
Like for the purposes of the stream, I think we just go.
Yeah.
Accessing.
Blah 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 blah.
The city centers.
Oh, there we go.
Oh come on! I said I disabled the tutorial.
Did you?
Yeah.
Are you sure it's the tutorial?
It is the tutorial.
Oh, we enabled
No.
it. Oops.
Right, it was like,
Double
are you
click?
sure you want to disable the tutorial? You've only played 500 hours of this game. Tutorial, off. Start without Iron Man. No, I don't want the DLC.
There we go.
Accessing.
Beep boop. Yeah, I mean, just like I kind of dug this game's aesthetics, where so like everybody has like the same kind of gear.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, in XCOM 2, you'll notice that the body armor is quite varied. The Dead Virgin, I don't like the Alien Hunters DLC specifically because I find that it magnifies a lot of my problems with the RNG. Alien Hunters was a DLC pack for XCOM 2 that expanded one of the characters from XCOM 1, your science lead, Dr. Valen, because, as you discover throughout the course of the DLC, she engineered super aliens after the collapse of XCOM that were released into the world that are like these alien kings and queens, basically. And they can turn up randomly in missions.
Oh, jeez.
They have a health pool that is enormous but is contiguous between missions. And they will run away if a certain amount of their health pool
It's
is
the
depleted.
DM's pet character.
Yeah, basically.
Nice.
And they get to move every time you move.
Oh, jeez.
So on Legendary, if you move a guy up and it decides to spawn one of these motherfuckers on you, it gets to move. And then if you move someone else up, it gets to shoot at the first.
That sounds bad.
Yeah, it.
Yeah.
I didn't
So-
like them, and what you get for winning or defeating them
Yeah.
is you get to skin them and wear their skins, and they were dumb-looking kigurumis.
That's really stupid.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, what I was getting at with the outfits is basically just like it's a sci-fi game, but you don't have the women wearing the sexy armor, which I always appreciate because it doesn't
Yeah.
happen enough.
Yeah.
Oh,
Although there is like in another DLC pack called Anarchy's Children, it added a lot of like not vanity items, but cosmetic items to the game. One of them is like a sports bra, and there's a pair of short shorts, but the women wear the sports bra, men go shirtless, and then you can both put the short shorts on both people. So it's equal.
all right. I came up with this last night. I finally figured out how I feel about fan service.
Yeah.
It's like chocolate syrup on a burger.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like I actually kind of like both of these things.
Yeah.
But they don't work together.
Yeah.
And one is enormously distracting and draws attention to the fact that it was a thing added just because.
Yeah. So
That's how I feel about it.
our objective here is to blow up this statue,
Got it.
to send a message, basically.
I'm just like taking in all of this sort of like aesthetics where, you know, it's like you have this kind of pristine remade, you know, utopia, but, you know, there's like the dark side of, you know, there's you know, this
heavily armed soldiers
totalitarian police state, and it's
Yeah.
just like, oh no, but we're not actually free. We live in this like gilded cage. You know, it's not like
And
I hesitate to say that it's not original, but it works.
he uses a lot of shorthand.
Yeah.
Or what's become common shorthand for totalitarianism, especially in American media, where, like, the state provides healthcare and people don't eat meat at every meal. Like, literally.
Say again?
One of the big draws that turns up are when you are on your base view,
Okay.
the characters
Yeah.
talk amongst each other,
Uh-huh.
right? And your science lead was a doctor, a biochemist who worked for Advent.
Yeah.
Really?
Nah.
Okay, game.
Shoot him. Don't worry, you're on like not super crazy hard.
Yeah.
You're saying
Uh,
a doctor who's a biochemist.
yeah, who worked for the Advent government, and God, these guys only have 3 hit points.
Yep. Get him.
Dweebs. Let's see. How am I gonna do this? I was actually not prepared for this at all. I got slops. And one of the things that he talks about being a draw for people, and what made him work for Advent, was the fact that he got to work in a hospital and, like, basically, like, people got free healthcare. But it came with strings.
Yep.
Lots of strings attached.
Oh, yeah.
You know, basically being that, like,
Occasionally sucked your brain.
yeah. Yeah, he was actually there to suck people's brains out. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I basically have to, like, try to angle for flanking shots here.
Rip.
Taken care of.
Go, Jack Thomas. Nice do-rag.
Target eliminated.
Let's get as close to this guy as possible. Right here.
Come on, Eileen. I'm sorry.
That's
Throw-
obscene.
What?
Fine, I'll just grenade this guy.
Heads down.
Bonk.
Grenade him out of cover. Blast him.
Get some. Rip.
Enemy eliminated.
Why isn't RNG normally this good? He plays on higher difficulties.
Yeah, where RNG is actually...
Like, more balanced.
Yeah, where the RNG isn't giving the player what they want.
Yeah. Just like, well, I actually I threw the dice straight and true, and you lost.
Yep. I
Turns
I
out
do
RNG
appreciate
is-
that framing, right? Because as it turns out, when the RNG is fair,
It feels like bullshit.
yeah, because what you are doing as a player is that you are trying to maneuver for the best possible shots.
Yeah.
All the time, right? So you're trying to maneuver for the 70, 80, and 90% shots.
Yeah.
And if that's all you're taking, are 70, 80, and 90% shots, when they fail 30 or 20 or 10% of the time,
You're like, what?
yeah, you're like, that shouldn't have failed at all.
It's like, because you take 70, 80, or 90 as like 100.
Yeah, and because you are... If that's all the dice you are throwing, then whenever they fail, of course it feels awful.
Yep.
Because you are usually also heavily investing in those shots as well.
Yep.
And if the AI has the freedom to just... Because the AI isn't trying to accomplish any objective on any kind of timescale, the AI's only objective is to inflict damage on you.
Yeah.
All it will do is throw its troops into the grinder
Yeah.
to get those same shots, and if it can't get those, it will just take the 30 and 40% shots.
And maybe get them, and you'll be
Yeah.
like, that's bullshit.
Yep, because it rolls.
And then it'll crit you out of nowhere.
Yeah, 'cause
but
it
it
rolls-
wasn't nowhere because you had the same chance.
Yeah, because it rolls 10 times the number of dice you do.
Yeah. Speaking of RNG heavy games, I don't want to play Binding of Isaac because I don't care for it. Have you ever played it?
I haven't.
It's super popular. I do not care for that game. Like, I just don't find it fun.
That's fair.
And the like the aesthetic and whatever in it was just like just wasn't my cup of tea. So I don't think I have very much to say about it.
That's fair.
Not even like from a perspective of like this is why I don't like it. It was just like eh. Darkest Dungeon, I don't know.
What I've heard about Darkest Dungeon is that you'll play it and be like, oh, Dark Souls is such a great game. It, like, honestly, a lot of the reviews I've heard of Darkest Dungeon remind me a lot of reviews I read of, like, Radiohead tribute albums. Right? Where people are like, every song on this album reminded me of how good Radiohead is.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite a different game, but
yeah.
I see what you mean.
Back online.
Locked and loaded.
So, yeah.
Moving to Overwatch.
Particular to American dystopias, you see, are a lot of things where, like, I keep coming back to William Gibson's discussion of the Sprawl in his Sprawl trilogy, which was Neuromancer, Count Zero, and Mona Lisa Overdrive.
Yep.
Where he said, the Sprawl is really only dystopian to people who are living in, like, the West right now, and who are quite wealthy in the West. Right? People who are living in the slums of the third world would probably be quite happy to move to the Sprawl.
It was like, this is sick.
Yeah.
It's got water, and like I can go buy a food.
Yeah, and that gave rise to his statement that, you know, like, the future is here. It's just not very evenly distributed.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, the thing that popped into my head is how a lot of developing nations are leapfrogging old technology, so you get really weird stuff like solar panels on grass huts. I think that's really fucking cool!
Yeah.
That's so cool! Or just like, you know, like wattle and daub housing, and then in the middle, like this weird kind of like, these like towers that pull moisture out of the air to make like potable water.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck?
In cover.
Alright, so I'm going to move up a lot of my mans here.
10-4. On Overwatch.
Shoots it. Oh boy.
That's not surprising. There's a penalty to hit on Overwatch unless you have very specific skills.
It is just kind of funny that you shoot straight into the wall.
Uh-oh.
Need to find some new
That was not supposed to be...
Ha! Idiot!
Man, the RNG really does favor you on this.
Yeah.
That should have cleaned my clock.
I can't move.
Okay.
That's affirmative.
What do those pulse rifles fire?
Standard nickel, nickel iron, depleted... No.
Okay.
Railgun submunition.
Yeah. I mean, it's always a challenge in sci-fi making an interesting kind of space gun.
Yeah.
Because, like... Okay, so... Blasters in a sort of, like, hard or even firm sci-fi setting are really stupid. It's like, let's get a weapon whose projectile moves slow enough that you can see it moving.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
I'm on the move.
That works for stuff like, you know, Star Wars, which is like, I mean, it's a space opera. You know, it's like, it doesn't actually matter. It's not realistic at all.
Get it together.
You know, but for like a tactical game like this, I mean, you've got a lot of these characters using like pretty conventional like firearms and small arms and so forth. Just kind of like taken to their, you know, future tactical extreme.
Yeah.
Like these guns are like kind of somebody drew. It's like somebody drew like a scar after they saw one for about 4 seconds.
yeah.
It's like, it's not a scar.
Totally
It's
not a
just
scar.
a tan machine gun with a collapsible buttstock.
Yep.
But that's enough to sort of like evoke that that image of like ye old military gun.
Okay.
Can you imagine if hand grenades actually like announced where they were?
By going beep beep beep.
Yep.
Like this.
Rip.
Getting a little toasty here.
Commander, we're taking
All right, I'm gonna start this one over. Boo.
Boo. Oh well.
I forgot officers have grenades.
I mean, you're probably in the late.
Mm-hmm.
We're dropping frames.
We have a fix on the target.
We've dropped some frames.
Charges at the designated position.
On the move.
Huh. Where does it?
At the top of XSplit, we've dropped 1,163 frames.
Huh. I'm just gonna watch it for a second. 1,200. It's not moving.
I mean, somebody might be uploading something, but
I will go check.
Go, go, go. On the move.
These guys make up the bulk of the Advent forces we've dealt with. They're disciplined and well-equipped, but their obedience makes them predictable.
Good copy. Moving on target.
Keep it out at all, or?
every once in a while, every minute or so, we drop like a couple hundred frames. I mean,
That's annoying.
Yeah, there goes another couple.
Huh. We were randomly dropping frames last night during AFK when no one else was in the moon base. Huh. Could we try a different ingest? Or
Yeah.
what do you think? Restart it?
I don't know.
Oh, there goes another pile of frames. That's annoying. I mean, we should probably try to do something. That's been happening on other channels? Okay.
Affirmative. Moving out.
It might just be a Twitch thing, we're not sure.
Oh, if it's a Twitch thing, then we can't do anything
Yeah.
about it.
I don't know.
Location confirmed.
Well, can you hear us at least?
No need to ask twice.
Good to go.
Sounds good. Okay, well, we can continue discussing. I mean, we're literally playing a turn-based game, so it's probably
Yeah,
fine.
I think we'll probably be okay.
Yeah.
Orders confirmed. On the move.
So,
But yeah, like one of the recurring like jokes in the game is about Advent burgers.
what? What are Advent burgers?
Nobody knows. Nobody's seen a cow in years.
They're made of smeat.
Yeah, they're made of something.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what Advent burgers are made out of.
Yeah. I mean, they're probably actually kind of great. It's just like
That's the joke, is that everyone's like, they're really good. Have you
Yeah.
had one? And every once in a while, Bradford is like, I found another Advent burger wrapper in the CIC, and if I find out who did
we're
it,
at war with these people, you morons. Soylent Blue.
yeah. I mean, everyone says it's like obviously made of humans, but it's probably
it probably
like
isn't.
textured soy protein.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that. I think that would be more interesting. That it's just like, there's the bad guys, but they don't fuck up everything.
Yeah.
Because, like, there's nothing more boring than like narratively than just like, I am the evil people.
Yep.
I am motivated entirely by causing suffering. That's
Yeah.
it's really just like grade 8 fiction
Yeah.
tier. You're just like, what's your bad guy's motivation? It's like he's the Lord of Darkness and he's insane and he wants to like.
What?
You ran straight that direction. Oh, you told him to go down that way. Oops.
Did I?
Yeah. I mean, you clicked there.
Okay.
Oh. Yeah, it's dull as dog shit because that's like, it's not compelling or interesting. It's just like, I mean, maybe it's just like a really shallow understanding of like how bad stuff happens.
Yeah. But I do like the fact that the thought that Advent burgers are not made with beef is the most terrifying thing.
On the move.
I don't know. As a vegetarian, it stuck out to me.
Yarp.
Right.
Menace 1-5.
How is the Impossible Burger getting along? They've been working on it.
I don't know.
That's one that I've been interested about.
Alright, so I'm just gonna... Alright, so I'm gonna grease these guys.
Get them. The Impossible Burger is a project some people are working on to make the most convincing patty possible out of entirely plant material. I wish them lots of success. Get him!
They found us.
I mean, you did shoot it.
It's true.
Yep. You know, your armor looks a lot more practical than theirs. I wonder if we're ever gonna move beyond like giant shoulder pads.
God, I hope not.
Cause they're pretty cool. But they're just, it's really just like giant shoulder pads. He's got greaves as well, or what the
forearm, the
bracers. I
bracers.
can't remember.
I mean, I eat veggie burgers, and they don't try to simulate meat at all, but they're nice.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I find a lot in, especially American dystopias, not eating meat at every meal is a frequent signifier of villainy. Right? Like, I just remember reading a lot of, like, I guess low-rent sci-fi.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Maybe it's just like, you know, it's like the impression that I get is more just like, oh, you eat your flavorless food paste.
Yeah.
You know, because you're being fed dog food. That kind of shit.
Yeah. Hello, computer.
Double time.
Evil.
On my way.
Yeah, as somebody who eats meat, the like carnivore lifestyle is kind of not super cool to me. It's just like, okay, whatever. I mean, that maybe just sort of dovetails with like toxic masculinity because it's just like, it's like I define myself by how relentlessly destructive and like stoically uncaring of anything I am. It's like,
Yeah, exactly.
wow, you sound like an awful, awful person.
Yeah. That's gotta be hard, you know?
Yeah.
Hey, Kanoki. How's it going?
Hey!
Incoming. Over here.
Speaking of space guns, now I'm just thinking about the like pulse rifles from Alien, which are one of my favorites because like
Oh, they've got great space
I
rates,
hesitate
right?
to call them realistic, but they're certainly different from what you would expect. They seem more in keeping with like what you might expect in that kind of setting.
Well, Lieutenant, what do those pulse rifles fire?
It's like 10 millimeter armor piercing.
Yeah.
like
Explosive
caseless.
armor piercing.
Explosive
Yeah.
armor piercing caseless. Standard,
Standard
light,
issue.
no,
AP.
standard
light armor penetrating round.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Well, look where your
Yeah.
so
Look where
good.
your troops are.
Yeah, I like that the space guns are actually like a big fucking liability, and they don't work at all the way they want them to, and are actually just a disaster.
Yeah.
How's that for a change? Like, that movie's so good because like it's like we got the best space hardware tech, and it didn't fucking work at all.
Yeah. Well,
Didn't
like
work.
I guess the thesis of Aliens is that you can't fight the things that horrify you with martial strength,
Yep.
right?
That's why it's so scary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
have to
because,
fight them with
I mean,
courage.
I think we talked about this in the
With the corrector's commentary.
was just like, how do you make aliens scary when you come with shit tons of guns and training? It's
Mhm.
like, well, turns out none of that stuff counts for anything.
Yeah.
How about that? We're talking about the Alien franchise, which composes 2.5 movies.
Yeah. Yeah. 2 movies and a script that was leaked.
I'm getting this horrible thought that Covenant might be a slow burn for me, because like we saw it and it was super shitty, and I revisited occasionally. I'm like, man, that was really shitty. And it's almost like it's getting worse in my memory. It's just like, oh my god, the fucking shower scene with the blood tits.
Yeah. Yeah. It actually had like.
It literally turned into a slasher movie at the end.
Yeah, where
that actually happened.
Yeah, and it happened to all of us.
I can't believe it. It's like, you know what? Prometheus was really, really bad, but it didn't have, like shower blood tits.
Yeah. Like, come on, Ridley. Dude.
Covenant was so fucking shitty.
Oh, it just...
You know what? Maybe it was because we were braced for it.
Maybe, yeah.
If Covenant had been the first movie we saw,
yeah.
We probably would have hated it just as much. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to, like, tank this hit.
What's this container he's next to, I wonder?
I don't know.
Maybe that's a challenge that game designers come up with in this sort of context. Is like, we need
a thing.
Because all this stuff has to exist to be cover.
Yeah.
But it also has to look like a level. So it's like, what, how do we arrange an area to look like, a place that could exist that's also a tactical playground?
Mm-hmm.
That must be real challenging, actually. Get him.
Hostiles pacified.
I don't think they were pacified as much as they were...
He's pacified.
Okay.
Look, he seems very pacific.
We... flip though.
Area is secure. We're not picking up any inbound contacts.
Oh,
Wait, there's only 2 groups on this difficulty? Holy crap.
Oh, 2049, you mean the new Blade Runner movie?
Yeah,
did you see the clip? There's a couple of clips, I think. There's one where What's-His-Nose shows up for this meeting.
I mean, I want it to be good.
Yeah, I mean, I'll see it. I'm going to temper my expectations, but...
Yeah. Did you see the interview with Harrison Ford where he's talking about... Apparently at one point, him and Ryan Gosling, spoilers for Blade Runner 2049,
Oh, no. Yeah.
where they have a fist fight. And they were given directions and, like, trained on how to have a fist fight.
Yeah.
And Harrison Ford and Ryan Gosling fuck up at some point, and Harrison Ford punches Ryan Gosling in the face really hard.
And they used that cut, didn't they?
I don't know if they do or not, but Ryan Gosling had an interview and where he said how it happened, and they interviewed Harrison Ford about it, and he's like, so about this fight? And he's like, oh yeah, he fucked it up and he went left when he was supposed to go right, and I punched him in the face. Right? And he's like, so what he told us afterwards when he showed up at his trailer with a bottle of scotch, right? And he's like, oh yeah, that happened. I went to his trailer and I poured him a glass of scotch. And he's like, he said you took the bottle. He's like, yeah, I just punched him in the face. I'm not going to give him a whole bottle of scotch. I just poured him a glass. That should be enough. Wait, did he tell you he was expecting the entire bottle?
That's really
like
funny.
He ends the interview by saying like, look, Ryan Gosling has been like, he was a fucking Mouseketeer. He's been doing this since he was 6. He should have known better.
All right.
Okay.
Take mission photo.
So, take mission photo.
What does that mean?
It means this.
Oh, nice.
So you get like
You just pose them?
Yeah, you get to pose them.
That's kind of
to
neat.
take like these propaganda shots. But 6 combined kills, my god. And then you get to put like a slogan and all kinds of
That's really
stuff.
neat because
It is.
that's kind of like, you know, taking screenshots is like a player sort of thing.
Yeah.
But, you know, dovetailing it in with the narrative by making it into these propaganda shots because, like, you know, that's the kind of thing that a resistance movement would do. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, look, we're fighting back and check out all this cool shit we did and we're awesome, join us.
Yep. Don't be afraid. So we've got a bunch of like
But how
different
funny would it be?
backgrounds.
Like, it's like they're lining up the shot and like a bomber flies overhead.
Yeah,
and
and just
wipes
like-
them out. Can you still
There
take
were-
a photo if somebody dies?
Oh yeah.
Woof.
This reminds me a lot of one conversation you have in Mass Effect 2 with one of your squad mates, where in Mass Effect 2 you die at the beginning of the game.
Jeez.
And you get rebuilt at the beginning of the game,
Okay.
like 18 months later.
Yeah.
And you're talking with one of your squad mates about like what happened during that time. And he tells you that for like the first year after you died, you were the poster boy for the Earth Alliance.
Oh, wow.
Right? Like you were the poster child. You showed up on all this propaganda stuff, but slowly over that period of time, they shopped your face to make you better looking
That's really funny.
and like slightly more buff
Yeah.
until like
Oh, I'd love to see the logical conclusion of that, where you're just like a truck. You look like Kenshiro.
yeah. And that actually wound up being a fan thing because in Mass Effect 3, when they finally when they finally started putting a canon female Shepard on the boxes and using her in the key art,
Hey!
she was like a supermodel, right? Whereas the canon femme Shep in the game, Jane Shepard, look, mid-30s, special operations, kind of tough and grizzled. And the one on the box was like a Bratz doll,
Oh boy.
right?
Yeah. Truck Shepherd.
Yeah, so we can take this picture, and this is how, hearts and minds.
Yep.
The idea that you have to win.
I was just watching some clips from Enemy at the Gates, and there's a sequence where I think it's Nikita Khrushchev or yeah. I think
Oh,
it was
right,
like-
yeah,
where he's like dressing down all the officers. He's
Yeah.
like, I want them to stop shitting their pants.
Yeah.
And they're like, how do we do that? And they have a bunch of shitty suggestions.
Yeah,
One
it's
guy
like,
is
you shoot all the traitors. Right.
And the one guy's like, give them hope, and he's like, huh?
Yeah,
And
it's
he's
like start publishing
the magazine with
Yeah.
like lots of sweet stories about how much we kick ass.
Yeah.
And like make people believe in the
Yeah.
war effort. It's like,
Yeah.
that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
So they do.
Sorry, going back to Mass Effect again, the funny part is that, FemShep is, shopped heavily on the key art.
Yeah.
But Dude Shep, his face capture, like the canon John Shepard, is actually face captured from a Dutch model. So there's like that dissonance between male and female standards of beauty, right? Where,
well,
a male model looks like an action hero, but a female model looks like.
I mean, the way I describe it
is not a credible action
it's
hero.
The difference between idealization and objectification.
Yes, yeah.
Is a difference of I want to become that as opposed to I wish to possess that.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Absolutely.
Just like like I want to be this motherfucker is idealization. It's like they're so cool and rad and I want to be them. Objectification is like I want to own one of those.
Yes.
I want, arm candy that looks like that.
Serving as our demolitions experts, the Grenadiers provide heavy
So, yeah.
Slinade Gruncher.
wherever we need it.
What is that? The M279, the South African
No, it's
cylinder magazine, like semi-automatic grenade
I
launcher.
don't remember. M36 or something? I can't remember.
The Ranger serves as our primary reconnaissance unit, capable
Kia
of
ninja
effectively
skills.
concealment while
Yep.
engaging enemies at close range.
Oh man, the back-mounted machete, which is just like
the worst place to
it's
have
the
it.
worst fucking place because it looks so cool in the movies, and then anytime you've tried that, you see some dude like brandishing it on YouTube, and then he's like spends like
Yeah.
15 full seconds trying to get it registered, and then like slices his spine open.
Yeah.
Or like his shirt falls. Study the blade. It's like there's a reason samurai put that
Yeah.
shit on their hip.
Yeah. And then your shirt just like
Like, no! The war sword.
war sword.
The one I really like is the shoulder knife.
Oh yeah.
Because it looks super tactical and like actually kind of makes sense. Come here, boy. Who's a good drone?
I would like it if when you took the drone into combat,
Yeah.
it just went up at the beginning of the mission.
It's like later.
Yeah.
And then like you change to its perspective, you see like FLIR.
A map. Yeah. Yeah, that would be really handy.
Yeah.
Right now all it does is like fly around and shock things.
It just it melees people.
Yeah. It does extra damage to like mechanical enemies. Or
that's
you
good.
can, depending on which path you you take, because your soldiers can take 2 skills at every level, and one of them develops the specialist to attack mechanized opponents and up their hacking, and the other path is a medical one
Yeah.
that buffs your troops.
You know, I almost wish that the weapons you had were slightly shittier. Or just like looked like they had come from incredibly sketchy sources.
Yeah.
The research labs.
Like if you had an abundance of AKMs.
Yeah.
And like, what's the light machine gun version?
RPK.
You're completely harmless to human life. If only the same could be said for the rest of the aliens' technology, Commander.
Space
Dr. Richard
Kalashnikovs.
Titan, Chief Science
Yeah.
Officer.
Just like,
am
I mean, I just have a thing for
responsible
wooden
the
furniture.
entirety of our research here.
Yeah, all your rifles are surplus to Chinese AKMs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Welcome to my lab.
They just like have Nagants that are still working like 400 years later. They're like,
Every time you fire them, you take a point of damage as your shoulder dislocates.
you just like, somebody shoots and the rifle just goes straight back and there's an arm spinning through the air. But like the entire enemy team is annihilated.
My tenure at already know the precise nature of its function. However, given time and your approval, of course, Commander, I assure you, I will find out.
Thanks, Osk.
Which brings to light an additional.
This is very, very.
aspect of
AK-47 car,
indeed
the T-80U.
impressive.
Yep.
I am but one man. Were you to direct additional support personnel and resources to me?
So this happens in the first game, right? It just sort of like goes over each of your sections.
Yeah,
the
each of your
base.
like stations, basically. So Taigen is Taigen is who you talk to research new weapons, right? So his role is to reverse engineer the alien technology and turn it to your use. And this is kind of where I wanted to talk about how the game formulates resistance,
Okay.
where you are basically hijacking alien technologies to use it against them.
Which is like pretty much in keeping with like a guerrilla warfare effort.
Right.
Reworked your repulsors with
But-
some of the parts I salvaged.
Well, we'll listen to Shen talk here.
Hi, Shen.
Shen is your engineer, and her responsibility is manufacturing. She handles the infrastructure necessary to take down Advent.
Getting our tech to talk to theirs is harder than you think. Lily Shen, Chief Engineer, at your service. You were probably expecting to see my father. In all that's happened, I'm guessing Central didn't tell you yet. He's gone. Dad gave everything he had to get us this far. This entire ship is his life's work. I know he would have loved to show you around the place himself.
Yeah, Shen is
We used to talk about you.
referencing
You can be sure
Alex
I'm
Vance
ready
pretty
to
closely.
finish what he
Yeah,
Alex Vance is a good character.
she is.
Here, I can fabricate pretty much.
I mean, that had to be a source of frustration for XCOM 2's designers, right?
Like-
We want to... Our adversaries are
Finally meet you, Commander.
alien invaders who are creating human-alien hybrids to take over the world.
Okay.
And our resistance group, we want these characters. And the artists are like... And then the instruction to the artist is, don't think of Alex Vance.
You're like, fuck! Don't think
Right.
of Alex Vance. Don't think of Alex Vance.
Don't think of Alex Vance.
All-
Sketches Alex Vance.
Like, piss!
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, give her an orange shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
And whatever you do, don't make Advent look like the Combine.
Don't make them look like Combine. Don't look like Combine. Fuck. Yeah, I mean, like, it's. I guess that's a challenge, you know, in sort of sci-fi. It's just like you have all these, you know, can already in the same way that gameplay has converged along solutions, like design has converged on solutions, and it's easy to just like fall back on something that works because someone did it correctly the first time. You wish episode 3 would happen? Well, there was a script that was leaked.
Yep. That was not Alex. That was
definitely not actually Half-Life.
Yeah.
But if you find and replace the character names, I haven't read it, but apparently it's fan fiction.
Yeah, released by the head writer of Half-Life.
Head writer of Half-Life.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So that it means Half-Life 3 will never happen. It's dead, basically.
Yeah. Which is a real shame, but
it is, considering it's one of the most beloved game series. Maybe I don't know. Is it?
I mean, it's up there. It's certainly very, very iconic. I guess the real the greater shame, I think, is that Valve doesn't make games anymore.
Because they did it pretty well.
They made some of the best, most influential games in history, and then they're like, "Oh, we have a license to print money. Let's not do anything other than that."
Yep.
And it's just a fucking shame. But you know,
so then,
you know, it's like they, you know, I think that there will be other studios that will probably, you know, become.
That will take that place.
Well, they will take that place because, like, there will be that yearning, and there will be people who, you know, right now or in the past, have, you know, have sort of felt that loss and are just like, you know what, they're not going to do it, so fucking we will.
Yeah. So I just wanted to show off like this, the really ant, cool. what they call the ant farm.
That's really cool. Okay, now can you expand this at all?
Like zoom in?
No. Like, because the key mechanic of the previous game.
Yeah, this is your expansion slots.
Oh, okay, so it's just like you have to alien bullshit that you haven't.
Yeah, that you haven't cleared out yet. So you have these 12 slots, and they go in tiers. This one takes a certain number of days to clear out, and then you can build in it. This one takes twice as long, but you can put more engineers on it. So they get more expensive, and then some of them have random stuff in it, like this one has an exposed power coil. So if you build a power relay here, you get more power out of it.
System shock reprogramming.
What do we need? I guess we'll build a guerrilla tactics school so we can train our soldiers.
I'll send word when it's up and running.
Yeah, I mean, Half-Life 3 could happen, but it probably won't because, like...
I don't think the lead writer would have published that
if he felt that there was any chance that it could happen.
Yeah,
I just think Valve powerfully doesn't give a shit about their IP anymore because they don't need to do any work. They just have like a fire hose of money aimed at them. Like they've with the the Steam marketplace, they've actually just literally outsourced content creation to the community. So
and now they're
all they have to do is like administration, and they just get money.
Yeah.
And like, why the fuck would once you have that, why the fuck would you bother doing anything? It's like I don't need to lift a finger.
Yeah. Well, yeah. As Not Bruno again said, that now without the pretense of Half-Life 3 ever being developed, we can no longer think of Valve as a games developer.
Yep.
We think of them now as like
content distribution. Yeah, same reason Notch will never make another game. Yeah, probably.
One of our resistance contacts just tipped us off to a site that may be worth investigating.
Avenger plotting new course.
So I've never run a resistance organization against a totalitarian regime.
Now you get to.
Well, I have no idea what it looks like. I've never read any histories of like the French resistance against Vichy France or the Polish underground during
Yeah.
World War II, or even things like
I can't even imagine what that would be like.
Yeah.
Like, I've never been interested in any sort of administrative position, so I'm especially out of context. But...
But the one thing this DLC actually brought to it was the at least veneer that you were trying to appeal to a population. Right? And that was those propaganda posters. That you have to kind of like put out the appearance of wanting to extend a hand to the population living in these cities, because eventually, if you kick the aliens off the planet, you all need to live together again. Right?
Yeah.
And this is something that I really enjoyed in one person I follow on Twitter who runs a blog called Star Wars Modern.
Okay.
He's a sculptor, and he talks a lot about in Star Wars what he likes about it is that the Empire builds these big fucking things, right? That are just like these monolithic structures, and that's everywhere in their design, like the Star Destroyers, the Super Star Destroyers, the AT-ATs. And all of that will scar the galaxy, even if the Rebels win the Civil War. And I love seeing that in Star Wars Episode 7. Was that on...
And the fucking huge, like, derelicts.
Yeah, that, like, the Empire's war machine has now become a landscape that people are living in.
Yep.
Right?
That is so incredibly my aesthetic, it hurts my teeth to think about it.
Yeah, that, like, whatever happens on this Earth will be living with the aftermath of it for probably, like, 1,000 years. Right? Like, we're still... In Europe, you still live in the aftermath of the Roman Empire, right? I mean, we still are. Like, without the Roman Empire, we probably wouldn't have a body called the Senate, right? And we'd probably have something very similar, but it wouldn't be called a Senate.
God, you know what this makes me really want to do for our next game? Even though we just beat it, Observer.
I would love to,
because it
just the way that you and Ben have described it to me.
It nails that Sid Mead Blade Runner aesthetic so well. And one of my favorite things is just like the building on top of old shit. Like, you know, there's a point where there's a cathedral with all these like. I think I was super sold on the game, but there was a part that like really did it for me. You go into a cathedral and there's like pitfalls, like just like open space and chasms, and I was like, oh, you know, OSHA will hate this. And you walk up and holographic guardrails materialize and keep you from walking in there. I was like, that's so fucking cool. Like, I lost my mind. It was so great. It was just like, oh, we don't literally have to build anything here. We can actually just like, you know, do that. But yeah, the kind of just like building newer technology over top of older technology. I'm thinking about the visual that pops into my mind is even like during the war, like Second World War, you know, running lights on strings in like ruins and stuff.
Right.
Old shit. And it's the same in this, where you just like have these like electronic things and like wires snarled around like ionic columns and shit like that. It's so fucking cool. So
I guess what I really want to talk about here is The Force Awakens.
I guess so. I dig that movie.
Yeah, I thought it, you know, had its share of problems, but I thought it was actually pretty cool overall. It was especially what I liked about it a lot was that, God, I hope they play this up. I hope they reference this at least, otherwise I'm going to feel like a complete chump.
Yeah.
But I like that it implied that the central premise, the Star War, if you will, is cyclical.
Oh, that it like comes again?
Yeah, that they're somehow trapped in the cycle.
Maybe.
And I've said this before, and if this doesn't pay off, I'm going to feel like the biggest chump.
Yeah.
I might be.
Yeah.
I might be, right? But that's how I read it.
You know what my maybe favorite part about that movie was? It was a fucking Star Wars movie.
Yeah. It had like red. It had both red and green space lasers. Yeah. It had X-wings and TIE fighters. It had the laser swords.
And everything was old and shitty.
Yeah.
And, well, not just shitty, just lived in.
Okay.
Which, oh, that was my thing. Because, like, I actually, by and large, don't really like sort of, like, clean, pristine, brand new sci-fi as an aesthetic. Like,
Well, I mean,
in some contexts, I kind of dig it.
in Star Wars, that's diagnostic of the Empire, right? All like the mirror polished floors.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
Star
You have that
Destroyers.
contrast, right?
Yeah,
So
like
that makes it like way more interesting.
which was like, oh god, what's his Twitter handle? The blog is Star Wars Modern, but he talks a lot about like the Empire being heavily inspired, like literally. You can go back and read interviews with George Lucas in the 70s, where he's talking about how like the Empire was basically like a gang of Nixonian gangsters, and their design was inspired by Le Corbusier, right, where he wanted to like bulldoze Manhattan and build it up again in ways that prescribed the ways that people would live in it.
Oh wow!
Instead of like organically like.
And then meanwhile,
and the illustrated picture he had was like a park with like a paved concrete path in it, and then a worn path in the grass cutting across it. Right.
Wow. And then meanwhile you have like where Luke starts the story in this sort of like almost literally Waddle and Daub huts with like weird sci-fi shit all around it. Exactly how I was describing earlier with like, you know, grass shacks with solar panels on the top.
Yeah.
It's like, that's super fucking cool. It looks like somebody actually lives here.
Solid copy.
Solid copy.
Army words.
Yeah. We should also probably take our second break.
Oh yeah, totally.
And then we can come back to finish this. I might need a snack.
Yeah, and I also, oh god, I need to stop talking about Star Wars.
Yeah, we're just
start talking about Talking Simulator, where we play XCOM and talk about Star Wars.
Winning formula.
Aliens. Fuck.
Do we just want to take a break here?
Yes.
It's turn-based. We can kind of like
We'll be
arbitrarily put it everywhere.
Yup.
All right. See you guys in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, 5-ish maybe. We'll see.
Okay.
Okay. Burr.
Hi.
And Hyben.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
All right. Can we even go up there? We cannot.
So we've moved from the sort of like pristine kind of utopia as remade by our benefactors to what looks like a very, very disused subway station.
Yeah, and this is... I have to credit the level designers for like these spaces and some of the shanty towns you also get to visit, and even just the like the suburbs in this game as well, because like the trashed appliances, the bags of uncollected garbage, the ruined cars.
I like that this sort of has the... Sorry, I totally cut you off.
Oh no, it really builds this this feel of like a place that is neglected and poor and almost trying to be made uninhabitable.
You know what this level specifically looks like? It looks like a location that was abandoned so quickly they didn't even turn the lights off.
Yeah.
And nobody ever came back. Except these motherfuckers don't shoot your partner. Oh, that's a space bullet. Who the fuck uses a revolver? Never mind. Work on that stress reload. Yeah, like... As a connoisseur of ruins, I always like ruins that kind of have a story to be told in the way in which they're ruined. Just like, you know, why does it look like this? How did it get to this point?
Yeah,
and yeah, this looks like, you know, in the sort of like chaos ensuing the invasion, people stopped using the subway station, maybe like...
Well, there's still vending machines and cash machines.
Yeah.
Right? Because
people just
nobody collected them afterwards.
There's
right?
no reason to.
Yeah.
There's no reason to show up to work. So, I mean, that's my read on it. It could also just as easily be like, let's make a fucked up subway because it's a cool level. Like, it's a cool level. Like a subway station is a really cool video game level.
Something we could use here. Target disabled.
So yeah, our objective is get to this before
Get it.
the aliens blow it up.
10-4.
Subway station is a great starter project for level design because it's mostly blocky environment with a good combination of verticality, implied structure, and purpose. Ooh, the more you know.
Yeah, I like that. I guess we have an understanding of what a subway station should look like.
Well, some people. This is the issue that I encounter in watch and play. Where the thing that just like it really drives me around the bend. It's actually the same problem you get from anime style, where you know people doing level design rather than look at an actual location in reference photos or fucking, God forbid, visit a location that they're attempting to model and take notes or something. Like, there's just no excuse for it. You have Google and you can look up so much reference. It's ridiculous. Just do it. But no, we get these symmetrical box levels sort of vaguely connected with no furniture or anything that are just like cribbed off of other video games. So it compounds the level of errors to be made because you're copying a copy.
Yeah.
Which is why anime style, you know, done by amateurs, always has that weird, not quite right look to it.
I'm going to see if I can cheese the AI here.
Because they're just trying to copy the style rather than knowing anything about fundamentals. And that's why it looks so bad. Pop.
Usually you can... The AI, its ability to do the calculus is not always very good, so it may not always recognize the difference between somebody with a heavy machine gun being on Overwatch and somebody with a pistol being on Overwatch. Can you see anything? You can, kind of. I'm just gonna pistol shot you.
Oh.
Enemy destroyed.
Bofa.
God damn it.
I do like the visual indicator of what's going on with this mind control here. The little ribbon. Oh wow. Go to sleep.
Nope. They've just got too many hit points.
That's fucked.
I might be actually in quite big trouble here.
Orders confirmed. On the move.
Oh no, zombie mode. Oh, zombies.
No respite for the dead. The aliens have found a way to
Like, I remember reading somewhere that there is a rock
Yep.
somewhere in Iceland
What?
that is very famous because it's the one rock that the locals take game devs to take pictures of when they need to see a picture of a certain kind of rock.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so wild.
Our sharpshooter.
I don't remember who I was talking to about like reference and about how that landscape has changed so much, and how like ridiculously spoiled we are now because of the internet. It it used to be that you would either snap your own photos of reference take clippings from like magazines, collect books, maybe take photocopies, and keep your own kind of collection of references. And to some extent, I still do.
Right.
Because you're never gonna there's some stuff that you'll never find the exact one, but it's just like if you need to look up what does a fridge look like, it's 3 seconds away.
Double time.
It's truth, mate. So yeah. Should it be on fire, Precious?
It's normal. It's perfectly normal.
We're near the objective.
Menace 1-5, we've got a line on the target. Move to protect that gear at all costs.
Got some advent here.
It's on fire.
Shit's on fire, yo.
Top. Massive tuppage.
When the tup's so good.
What?
I don't know.
I wonder if tup is like an Alexism. I don't remember where I learned it.
Tup.
It's a footstep noise.
Uh-oh.
I talk about like tuppage as like lots of moving around. I don't know. I'm a weird guy.
You don't say.
Apparently. Is it true that Graham called me a parasite?
Moving to designated position.
No.
Just in the like in the mimetic sense. Somebody was telling me on mail time. He was just like, I was like, wait, what?
I don't think so.
Moving to designated coordinates.
Zork.
Get me out of here, please.
There's one segment I want to do on Loading Ready Live, which is the game. Did what Alex just say? Was what Alex just said a reference to a cult film, or?
I kind of want to do that. Okay, so this was my favorite game I used to play with Graham when I lived with him. Is that I would just say something, and he would have to try and figure out whether it was a quote from like a pop culture or something, like a pop culture movie, book, comic, whatever, or if I had just made it up that moment. And it was very difficult.
Well, it's because you invest them with a character.
Yeah, you invest
Right.
them with a character and you make it sound like a scene that could
just
plausibly be
There was
from
one
something.
when we were moving in a couple of weeks ago where you just kind of randomly said, just because you're common, Edgar, doesn't mean you have to be thick.
That's not from anything.
No, it's not from anything. I was like, what's that from? And you're like,
It's like I just made it up. Because it sounds like something. Fuck. It's it's like how Kim and I used to play word disassociation. It's another different fun game, but yeah.
Citizens are encouraged to
Just because you're common doesn't mean you have to be thick.
Remember, only together can we.
Anywho,
one of our rookies shot our sniper in the back of the head.
did they?
It happens.
Commander, the media is a powerful tool.
Oh, there you
Just
go.
ask
Avenge
propaganda.
her!
I say it's time we turn it
By
on.
shooting our rookie?
By spreading
Okay.
the word of our soldiers' exploits in combat, we can bolster morale.
Word disassociation is a game that I play with Kim where I'll say a word or phrase and then she'll say something that's like not. It's sort of associated, but it's like completely different.
Bye, boys.
And bye.
You're all alone.
Whoever, the way you sort of win word disassociation is like the more tangential the relationship is, the better. It would be difficult to actually explain how it is without her here because she's really good at it.
All right. What's our best, like...
Oh, I like that you can actually design these posters, and
Yeah.
apparently they show up later.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like that a lot. I think that's a really cool mechanic.
It is.
Huh. Now this looks interesting. I got a special request here from one of our donors. It reads, an intriguing offer for your listeners. I will triple the standard price for every Advent burger they can deliver to this location in the remote territories. Name's a bit scribbled. It's hard to read. Tagan.
Are you supposed to know who that is?
That's your science officer.
Guy's not winning any awards for penmanship, I'll tell you that.
I have no idea how to design these things, by the way.
But I mean, maybe that's part of it. It's like, well, we're a resistance movement. We don't have a graphic designer.
Commander can slap it together in a few minutes. We got a pirated version of Photoshop 7.
Wow.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, yeah. Just, how far down can you move her? Ship it. No, don't.
Your soldiers are like, we really liked her quite a bit. Could you maybe not?
They're just like, that's disrespectful.
Clenched fist.
How do we have all these photos?
We're shopping her.
It's CG.
It's a CG composite.
Give her bigger muscles. Make that chin more angular.
Mm-hmm.
Have miniguns sticking out of her eyes. Oh yeah, that's good. That's good. That's that. Yes. Yes. Perfect.
Sure.
Perfect.
I certainly hope our propaganda effort is not funded from my research budget.
Dude.
Tygan, body's not even cold yet, dude.
Bruh. Gravely wounded. That would be kind of funny in like a different game if you did the same thing but you had to like Weekend at Bernie's their corpse and it was like as damaged as the way that they were killed in the mission.
Oh god.
That would be messed up.
It's like, yeah, okay, tilt her head until you can no longer see the massive head wound.
Jeez. That's good.
Hello, Commander. The council you once knew is no more.
Anyway,
Its membership
one of the things I wanted to point out in this game is that at no point ever do you ever present an alternative to Advent.
It is good to see you again.
The player is never really given anything to fight for,
I have done all I
just something to fight against.
It's like
As in the first game, because the first game never showed you. I mean, it showed you Earth as a battlefield.
Yeah.
That was a map for the tactical level game, but you never really encountered Earth as a place that you inhabited. It was this hollow map that kind of like you maneuvered around, but you were never given anything to really like fight for.
I mean, I suppose maybe like they felt that was implicit, but yeah, like actually going out and saying and well, like relating it. I don't know. Do you suppose it was maybe meant to come out in the like characters' incidental dialogue in the between mission areas?
I think it had to. I think that was where they decided it kind of fit. Yeah. Oh, Coyote Sands. Yes, there's a news ticker at the bottom. There's like a news chiron that scrolls past on one of your screens.
Good luck, Commander.
New objective added.
So one thing I would have loved to have seen is, you know, the Resistance trying to figure out something to offer people as an alternative to Advent. And all the game really gives you is ways to make Advent worse.
Yeah.
Right? Like, after your missions, you will usually get some kind of propaganda report occurring.
Clearing out space for new facilities, Commander. We should
Well, I mean, like,
for more recruits, though. We'll need them to staff the facilities once they're built.
do
Commander, so
resistance
far,
movements, generally speaking, do that?
I think typically they do.
They're just like, you know, hey, this is how we would do this because we think it sucks how it's done now.
Yeah, I think that's the way they attract people. Really, I think that's kind of their sine qua non. Instead of just positing a...
Just like, no, well, we got to overthrow the bad guys. Okay, then what?
Yeah.
We overthrow them, and then everything will be great because they won't be there anymore. It's like, they suck and I don't like what they're doing, but they build the roads and keep the lights on and the water okay.
Yeah, otherwise you wind up with that conversation from Monty Python.
Which one?
The Romans built the aqueduct.
I don't remember that one. What's that?
Yeah, it's like, what have the Romans done for us lately? And they're all like, yeah. I'm like, the aqueduct? What? The aqueduct. The Romans built the aqueduct. I'm like, oh, well, yes, obviously the aqueduct. We would make them leave the aqueduct. It's like, sanitation. Well, yes, sanitation is obviously implicit. We were already talking about the aqueduct. What about law and order? Oh, yeah, Reg. Law and order, definitely. You remember what the city used to be like.
I have not seen Life of Brian for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
And what's your economic plan for the reconquest of Earth?
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose, like...
Because...
Maybe, like, okay. I don't think it's asking too much. But is it asking too much of video games to be thinking along those lines?
I would like it not to be.
Yeah, same.
I mean,
I don't think it's asking too much at all. But
the other thing is that this game is actually quite dense with stuff that it's throwing at you.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know where it would fit.
I mean, it's like video games, whether we like it or not, do have this kind of like superficial entertainment kind of aesthetic to them, because a lot of them are. It's in their genes that they're kind of trashy by nature. They have aspirations to not be like that. Some of them, many of them.
But our pop media is kind of where our soul resides, right? As a culture, right? It's also present in like elite art, but the balance of it is in our pop art.
It's possible that good guys versus bad guys is all most people need or want.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, that's all Star Wars was, really, right? Like this Manichaean good versus evil.
Yep.
It made a lot of noises about, the Republic that had been swept away, and, the Jedi who were a force for law of order for, 1,000 generations.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that was one of the mistakes that the prequel trilogy did, was they, like, tried to put actual sort of politics, and it was like, huh?
Yeah.
This is a movie for kids.
Yeah.
Well, kind of. It's a movie for everybody, but it was just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, blockades and, like, Senate meetings and shit? Like,
well, yeah, because, like...
Where's fucking Vader? It's like, I am Space Satan, come to destroy everyone. There's more to that character than that, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The implanted chip is the key. Commander, the science team has grown particularly interested in this.
Because what Xcom is doing here on the tactical level is quite destructive, right? I think Wabi Sabi Evan, excuse me. Sorry, it says resistance movements tend to get seen in a romantic light when they are by nature pretty destructive and disruptive to society. Sometimes it's necessary, but it always bothers me when people just kind of brush the collateral damage under the rug. Because what XCOM is doing here, like you see it in the tactical game, we're going in, we're blowing shit up, we're trashing the place.
That was somebody's business.
Yeah.
They're probably not going to think too kindly of the resistance.
And what we'll see in probably a few days is one of the other resistance movements, because this expansion added the Chosen, who are these 3 alien villain characters who hunt you throughout the game, counterbalanced by these 3 resistance heroes from not competing, not collaborating, not
like
adjacent resistance movements.
The enemy of your enemy?
Yeah. And some of them are quite nasty characters.
Ugh. The ones that are just like, any means necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's just cause us that issue. Let's free all these people by demolishing the infrastructure. Although I would go so far as to say that game doesn't really take itself very seriously.
What about Red Faction?
Oh man,
Space asshole.
Space asshole. Yeah, it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like that game. Oh, it's so weird. This comes back to like the sort of like. Am I using the term ludonormative dissonance in the correct context here. It's just like that's kind of conflict that gameplay and aspirations of storytelling have in video games all the time. I mean, even like in yeah, like you say, it's just like, oh, you know, in Red Faction, it's like, I'm part of the Resistance. We're gonna free these people by blowing everything up. Every fucking building must fall.
Yeah, featuring destructible terrain.
Destructible terrain. It's like we just like wiped out like an entire like skyscraper almost.
Yeah.
Or like in like Overwatch, which is a game that we'll visit at some point, where you have all these like really richly backstory characters that like have, you know, interesting things. Oh.
The skirmishers are Advent. Advent is the enemy. The enemy is food.
Try not to bring that up when we meet, Volk.
You take their side after all we've seen these years.
Look, I'm not exactly having drinks with them, but they did hold up their end of the bargain. What about you?
Wait and see. Vault out.
I'm Evilman.
Actually think they might show up.
But yeah, you have these like well-storied characters, supposedly with this sort of objective, and then the game itself is like team deathmatch. Well, it's not team deathmatch. It's like push objective.
Yeah.
It's like it's completely out of goose with like what these characters supposedly are. I don't mind that because the game's fun as fuck.
Yeah.
But it's just like, this is weird.
Yeah. I love how... I don't know how true this is. I don't know if it's true at all. My interpretation of this is that they got their voice acting budget, their VA budget, and somebody was like, who wants to meet the cast of TNG? Because we've got Jonathan Frakes, who's playing the character that we just saw.
Yeah.
Marina Sirtis, who's playing the character that we saw at the beginning of the game.
Decent.
Michael Dorn. The actor who played Tasha Yar.
I wonder if they were super stoked to work together again on a sci-fi thing.
Might have been. The actor who plays Q, John Delancey, is in this as well.
Yeah. The game is non-canon, B deathmatch exists now. Okay, but if the game's non-canon, like, you know what
the
I
fuck
mean?
is
Like,
going on?
what is it? What is this?
Denise Crosby, yeah.
Yeah, like, I believe you, and
yeah.
But it's like, then what is this?
It's like, okay, so we built this world and these characters. Okay. Now we're going to create a fan fiction game.
But and it fucking works.
Yeah.
That's the weird part. It fucking works. We'll get to that when we
I didn't know I didn't know Overwatch was non-canon.
Like what? Oh man, I love that game. I really, really do. They want to make a movie? Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, and they originally wanted to get Brent Spiner to voice the Templar faction, or to voice the character for the Templar faction.
Dang.
But they couldn't get him. I don't know what the problem was, but they couldn't get that guy, so the Templars have a much reduced role. Like the skirmishers, who are the guys with like the snipe, the character we saw at the beginning of the game with the Dragunov sniper rifle. They're like the stealthy ones, and then there's the skirmishers, who are the Advent defectors, and then the Templars, who are the psionic ones, but they don't show up until much later in the game.
Yeah.
They don't really have a huge voiced character.
The Reapers and Skirmishers have been at each other's throats for years, so we're keeping the exact meeting point strictly need to know. You'll split into 2 squads, rendezvous with each faction, and bring their envoy directly to the location of the meet. Officially, this city no longer exists, so we don't expect a lot in the way of Advent resistance. Still, keep your eyes peeled. It's been about 20 years.
Every game of PUBG is canon to the PUBG universe. Yeah, I can believe it.
Proceed to the first set of coordinates. Firebrand and the second team will head to the next drop point.
So where are we now?
Oh, we are...
What the fuck? Whoa.
Oh, yeah. In the first XCOM game, in many missions in cities, there were these alien like drop pods that had essentially been dropped into the middle of the cities.
Yeah.
And we didn't know what they were doing. Turns out we'll find out what they were doing in this.
Oh, jeez.
Also, the Reapers eat sentient creatures. Or sapient creatures.
Huh.
They eat the aliens, which is weird.
There's more where that came from.
That's weird.
Impressive reflexes, but unnecessary.
Boop. Do you get a good seal on that mask?
We're all friends here.
You are safe here.
Ninja buddies.
More so than you imagine.
Oh yeah, I do like that they...
We shall see if
These are like the
same
fake
holds
Russian
true for these
block
skirmishes of
weapons.
yours.
Yeah. Like, you have fake scars.
And
They've
they
got
have fake AKs and
yeah.
like SVDs and stuff.
Already
Oh, maybe it's a
dispersed them.
PSL.
We must move quickly.
They're just like, is this an SVD? Yup.
Come.
Apparently that's a thing that gun shop owners run on like stupid kids who are like, I want a Dragunov. It's like, yes, please buy this Chinese PSL, which it looks exactly like it. But
Yeah.
It's like, I want a Dragunov. Do you have $20,000 and a lot of time to fill out some permits?
Yeah. I want an M4. How about an AR-15?
I heard that somebody there's a thread on K I read once. It was just like this kid walked into and I hate that LGS means local game store and local gun store, but he walked into one and was just like, I want an M4 with a heartbeat sensor.
And they're like, get out.
Get the fuck out of here.
Heartbeat sensor, huh?
Yeah. It's like, you know that doesn't exist. PSLs are Romanian. I believe that they're also manufactured in China. Like, AKs are Russian, except for the ones that are manufactured in China.
So I'm just going to take my time here. So what we're doing here is we're negotiating a peace between two actually warring resistance factions.
Oh, I see.
The Reapers, who are the fake Russian knockoffs, and the Skirmishers, who are the Advent defectors. And they don't like each other because the Advent defectors obviously are, you know...
They used to work for the enemy.
Yeah, they used to work for the enemy.
No more time for regrets. We are not alone.
Whoa, zombies.
They still look like people.
What was human died years ago. Only the taint of the aliens survives now.
So we have a zombie level.
Yep. Man, I almost want to do an entire episode about zombie games. Because, man, you want to talk about a ubiquitous thing in video games? It's like, you know, we want a game where we can just, like, butcher a shit ton of humans, but we don't really want to feel bad about it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's, like, probably a lot more to it than that, but it's just like, they're the perfect video game enemy because they're humanoid, so it's like shooting people, but they're slow and dumb, and they have lots of meat.
Yep.
And there's no shortage of them.
Like, there have been many stories written, or I should say, I assume there have been many theses written on what is symbolized by what people are actually fighting when they're fighting zombies in fiction.
These creatures' DNA has mutated well beyond what we would classify as human. Perhaps the result of long-term exposure to alien radiation from those pods. Or why anyone would subject themselves to that, I cannot.
Dost thou shittest me?
When the governments fell, millions starved. Many fled to cities such as this to scavenge for food. They did not heed the warning.
Rawr! Grunt.
I mean, excuse me. I found on Netflix the other night they had made a film version, or not a film version, they had made a TV series of The Mist. You know, the 2007?
Okay.
Or no, 2009 movie?
Okay.
Which was about, you know, the way that civil society, or not civil society, the social contract falls apart under times of extreme stress.
Remember, they are not victims. They found it.
And it...
Give me a minute.
was awful. The TV series sucked so hard.
Terrible.
Because it turned into like this exploration of the lore behind the mist.
You know, I'm gonna go right ahead and say that zombies as a pop culture staple may have started as a metaphor. I think they very quickly got co-opted into just another fucking monster.
Well, I think
with some exceptions. Occasionally, you know, there's fiction that will use them to mean something more than just that. But I think most of the time, zombies are we need to pull an antagonist off the shelf that is fully like realizing we don't actually have to innovate at all.
I think that might be how they wind up in things, but I think that the reason they wind up in that role, or the reason they are on tap, is because there's a resonance to them. Right? Where, like in the Romero zombie films, right?
Yeah, like especially the first one. They were definitely like a metaphor.
Yeah. And I think that metaphor has evolved somewhat and shifted and kind of almost been turned back on itself. Where movies like, TV series like The Walking Dead wind up being a lot about like the tribe and how you can only trust people that you know. And how when society falls, then we'll find out who we really are and who's really worth their salt. Which is really kind of odious and one of the reasons why I hate The Walking Dead.
I've not heard great things about that series.
Everyone in that series smells like pee. I hate them all.
What? It's not presented in smell-o-vision, is it?
I can tell. Everyone in The Walking Dead looks like they smell like pee.
Only the most objective criticism here on Talking Sim. Why don't you like The Walking Dead? They smell like pee.
At one point, one of the bad guy settlements, you can tell they're bad guys because they're not the main characters, run into like these guys that have a tank, like they've got a National Guard tank, and whenever they move the tank, you can see the pee sloshing out of the commander's hatch.
Ew. That's really gross. You've always felt that the resonance of the zombies that it's a human form stripped of what makes it human, which makes it horrifying at a visceral level. Yeah, they work.
Yeah,
they're good monsters. It's just like, yeah, it does play to a lot of like primal fears. It's like, you know, what if I wasn't me?
Yeah, like what if there was nothing here but my body, right? If there was nothing. What if there was just a body with no soul? And then somebody was like, man, that would be great. You could kill people without feeling bad about it.
Yeah.
No, Corvus, I did not.
Extraction point is close.
Merg, I have no pets.
We will make it your pet advent in time.
So they put in this mechanic where you can actually gun down hordes of zombies. Because if you kill one, you get a free action.
Oh.
I'll need more ammo soon.
How about them apples?
Reloading. I cannot hunt without bullets.
Affirmative. Covering now.
I guess we go on Overwatch? Sure.
Kablamo.
Kablamo.
You just like shaved her ear hairs. Wow. Mista.
I like how he aimed at them and then was like, okay. Alright, that looks like a miss. A miss.
A swarm. We
Wait,
must push forward
why did...
before it arrives.
I just realized that when people are talking about WotC in the chat, they mean the
War of the
expansion.
Chosen? Yeah, not Wizards of the Coast.
That's awkward.
Yeah.
It's somehow worse when acronyms mean the same thing. Because it's even more convoluted, like CBT.
Yeah.
Which means cognitive behavioral therapy, which is a form of therapy. Also, cock and ball torture, which is a fetish.
CBT has really been helping me out.
Biological readings in your general area are clear.
Yay.
No more creatures on approach.
For now.
Then let's not linger here. Head to the evac coordinates now.
Let's do this.
Reloaded.
That boy needs therapy. Psychosomatic. That boy needs therapy.
For years, my people hunted his kind.
Please no Steppy.
For years,
Please more
he
Steppy.
survived. Now you risk everything for your dreams of peace.
For you too, asshole.
The aliens have been kicking our planet's ass for the past 20 years. You think maybe it's time we try something else?
If only your speeches could take down these cursed creatures.
You should have a clear path through now. Second squad is already en route to Mox. Proceed to the rendezvous.
My paintings on iZombie and Warm Bodies. The only thing I know about iZombie is that, like, she's hot and a detective or something?
Right.
Like,
It reminded me of this show called Forever Night,
Mm.
which was made in Canada in the mid-90s,
Yeah.
which was about a vampire detective.
Oh. Alright, yeah. I mean, that's what it sort of sounds like. It's like... I've not seen it.
Looks like trouble ahead. The rendezvous could be compromised. Stay focused. Contact! Get down! We may have a bigger problem here.
Hello?
I'm guessing that's our man. Well, our contact anyway.
Crocksod. Advent. Puppet. Voxtala. 410.
Rip.
They were sent here to hunt. To purge the Drop 10. The lost.
That took a lot longer than it should have.
Our meeting point is still secure.
Hello, Mox. Do you tap for...
She is free of the imposter gods. I would give anything that all my kind could say the same. Even sit down with your reapers. Now, we must go.
It was just air escaping.
Rendezvous with Outrider is further ahead.
So, voiced by Michael Dorn, who was like, alright, what's my character? Could you do Worf?
Oh, it's like...
And he's like, yeah, I can.
No.
I don't know if anyone loves Star Trek as much as Michael Dorn. Or at least gives the impression of loving Star Trek as much as Michael Dorn. Because he wants to be in every Star Trek.
Oh.
And their leader is voiced by Denise Crosby, aka Tasha Yar.
And our prowess in battle serves us well in our cause. In close combat, none can stand opposed to us.
That's a shame, because everybody has guns.
Yep.
That's a thing... Okay, so... I think this might be a video game thing. Because I don't feel that any real-world operators make a big deal about how amazing they are at close combat.
Yeah, I don't...
It's just like, man, I'm so fucking good at Krav Maga. Which is just like, avoid combat until the, like, as much as possible, and then if you really have to, kill the motherfucker instantly.
Orders confirmed.
It's like,
moving out.
Close combat isn't really a thing.
I'm on it.
Or it's just like, it's a, it's kind of a worst case scenario. It's just an interesting observation. That's a thing that happens. The kind of like, what the fuck? No, they have flamethrowers.
Yeah.
That's another thing. When I was playing Oni with Paul, I was talking about how telling what things the game borrowed from like Japanese pulp culture and how telling it was which ones got used. And you know, the same is true of like most video games. So like, what's the coolest weapon? A flamethrower. It's like oh, do they explode?
Yeah, they'll explode.
Yeah.
Flamethrowers explode. It's what happens when you throw fire.
Yeah. Now, don't get the impression that I expect like exact realism from everything at all times, because I sure don't. I just find it kind of fun a lot of times to sort of poke holes in that logic, or just at least examine it. Just be like, why was this decision made? It's like sometimes the reason for it being cool is good enough. Other times it's like, I don't know if that works.
Yeah. Suffice it to say, these guys carry explosions on their back, and if you shoot them, sometimes the explosion gets out.
How about that? You shot through a truck.
Not all the way through the truck,
You attempted to shoot through a truck.
Wait, is broccoli in this one too?
Good copy. Moving on target.
Raggy.
The explosion gets out the war version of the blue smoke. Yeah, pretty much.
Right in the mommy daddy button.
The patrol has been liberated. May their lives not be lost in vain. We must push forward and complete our mission.
I do like how Mox seems to care about the Advent soldiers.
From everything I've heard, close combat is more of a last resort, very case specific. Usually the point of guns is kill stuff faster than a fist or a knife. It's also used for restraining people to killing. There's also the range aspect, which I think would be one of the defining characteristics. Like I'd love to see a video game where okay, so the experimental weapons and like ultimate super weapons in video games and pop culture that are always like some sort of like huge bomb or like an uncontrollable meat monster or like some sort of like super space laser gun. If you were to go just by the numbers, the ultimate weapon would be something that could kill a specific individual from an unlimited range and be completely undetectable.
Yeah, like a
kill button.
Yeah. Well, it's like
it would be profoundly boring to watch.
It's like the one XKCD where it's like John Connor coming back to protect Sarah Connor in Terminator, being like, it's the ultimate killing machine. It doesn't feel remorse or pity or anything. And then it just shows them getting blown up by a drone strike.
Wow. Yeah.
Purifiers may be down.
Yeah, the Death Note is the ultimate weapon.
I fear that is not the worst of it.
God, I'm glad that fandom is sort of like behind us, because I've had a couple fans ask me to sign their Death Note, and it makes me so fucking uncomfortable. It's like, I've seen parts of the show, like, you know what you're asking of me. So like, I think the handful of times I have I've done, it's just like, Alex Stacey of extreme old age after a very fulfilling life. It's like, why the fuck would you ask that of somebody? That's weird.
Kind of rude.
It's really rude, I think. And like I said, I'm glad it doesn't happen anymore.
So Mox did a bad.
I go as ordered.
Anyway.
A useful aid.
Like, what is Death Note?
Death Note is it a comic and an anime, or just an anime?
I don't watch mangas.
Yeah. The basic premise is a guy gets a hold of a book that if you write somebody's name in it, they'll die. And if you write somebody's name in it and specify the means by which they die, that will happen. And he starts off being like, oh my god, I have this amazing like tool. I can, you know, make the world a better place. I can like wipe out despots and like clean up crime and stuff. And you know, I think he starts with best intentions, and they like go straight out the window straight away. And he's pursued by this like I don't know how to define him because I've not seen it. Like, he's this like super investigator guy, and it's this game of cat and mouse where they're trying to like figure out who one another is, and you know, maneuver each other into a position where they can like catch or kill one another. So
I'd heard one of the tricks to Death Note was recognizing that the villain is, or the main character is the villain in the show.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I'm giving you like the back of the DVD cover summary. Like, I heard it was a pretty good crime show. I mean, I guess that's how you like sort of like fantasy crime. It seemed fine. Like, it was maybe just one of those things that like people went nuts over. Shit, now I'm thinking of Monster. Fuck, that's a good so. Monster is a manga and anime that takes place in the 90s in Germany. A brilliant neurosurgeon saves the life of this young boy who grows up to become a serial killer. And he tries to hunt him down.
Okay.
To, you know, stop him. And holy shit, there's some good character writing. It's very well written. And it's very, very interesting.
Readings are all over the place. The Lost are almost right on top of you.
Monster's great. Pluto's also great.
Sensitive to noise. The sounds of combat.
You want to have some RoboFeels? Read Pluto.
Think we've got something here. Just need another minute.
You have your minute. Reloading. No trespassers.
Death Note is a show about smart people being too smart for their own good. The impression I got about it was that absolute power corrupts absolutely. I mean, which is a message I can get behind. It's like, no, if we just killed all the right people, everything would be great. God, I got in this conversation with somebody at one point. I mean, I say a conversation. It was so stupid. He was talking about how we should, like, ID tag felons. And, you know, just so we can keep track of them. I was like, you know, they tried something like that in the 40s, and it didn't work out so good. Like, yeah, they decided that, you know, these people were subhuman and labeled them. Well, maybe the problem is that you're dehumanizing people. Maybe that's one of the things you shouldn't do.
Yeah, well, and also, like, the idea with our form of justice is that, you know, once you get out of prison, you're supposed to be square.
Yeah. Yeah. Except nobody will fucking hire you. Which is... yeah.
Enemy destroyed.
Because our form of justice is supposed to be restorative.
Yeah, as opposed to like punitive, which it kind of is. I always got the impression that like whether, you know, for all we think of it, it ultimately comes down to just like you did a bad thing and you will be punished for it. And your punishment will be such that you'll definitely not do it again. It's like, well, it turns out crime's not that simple.
Yeah.
And people aren't that simple. Why does your shotgunner have the best accuracy? More bullets.
Shotguns are actually pretty accurate.
Oh, accurate asterisk.
They're pretty easy to hit with,
Yeah.
is what I've heard.
Yeah.
Somebody was telling me the reason the military doesn't use shotguns is because the shells are like this big. Hard to carry a lot of them.
They reload slow. Well, you know what? They keep them around for door breaching.
Oh, okay.
And I think that to some extent that's being supplanted by stuff like the master key.
Hmm.
I mean, like a shotgun's a great thing because it's a really simple tool that you just use to blow the hinges off of a door, and then you just ditch it, go to your M4, and enter the building.
Right.
The master key is a shotgun that's under barrel. I don't know much about the actual performance of these utensils, but I just know that they exist.
No ammunition.
They're also apparently considered a war crime to use on military personnel.
Huh. Did not know that.
Which is why you just say you're aiming for their gun. I have heard elsewhere that shotguns are not kosher to use in war. I mean, they don't really have sights.
I mean, I don't know anything about guns, really.
As you command.
I know a little bit about them. And I've now actually fired some, so...
Huh.
That was a weird experience.
On the move.
As you order.
Yeah, the 94% miss felt pretty good.
Outrider and the first team should be waiting for you ahead. I know this wasn't the easiest stop, but I have to believe it'll still be worth it.
That depends on the Reapers.
That's the one. That looks really, really front heavy.
So we're going to meet our first chosen here, which kind of gives a face to Advent, which is something that they had really lacked, because the speaker, who is the guy who looks vaguely like Gaius Baltar from Battlestar Galactica, was never really a character that you encountered.
Advent's most brutal captain comes to atone for his crimes.
I am no longer that being. I am free now.
Taking off that helmet does not change what you are. Reapers have long memories. Elder Craxad. Anytime.
Dang it.
The way I see it, we have two options. Join forces and kick the Elders off our world, or kill each other here and now. The choice is yours.
Whoa.
No one has ever done that before. No one shall ever do that again.
We need them to say something here. Just write a line.
Vox Prima, Elder Assassin, relentless death that stalks my kind, butcher of free Advent.
My people face another like her. They are the undying, Advent's curse upon us. We must combine strength if we are to have any chance of success.
Enemies combine. Enemies cooperating against the common foe.
Revolution.
That was the. Did you ever watch Invader Zim?
Yep.
There was one time where Dib and Zim allied against what's her name?
Oh, I don't remember.
Tak.
Oh, right!
The actual competent invader. And Dib did this thing where he was like, enemies cooperating against the common foe, and he does like this pose and there's light behind him. And Zim's like, ugh. I need that gif,
that show.
basically.
I love this show.
I love this show.
I have Aaron Alexovich on Facebook, and I think he posted a thing where he overheard somebody walking past saying like, "Yeah, Invader Sim wasn't that good."
Yeah, I saw that.
He's got like a kind of a kick out
Ow!
of it. It's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, fair enough.
It like, how funny would that be to say that and like
And Jonan's
just like, yeah.
Hey.
He's just like, excuse me.
Like, I heard what you said.
I heard what you said. Fuck. Fuck.
On the move.
Yeah. I mean, the joke being that Jonan actually...
He doesn't like Sam.
He got burned out on the show quite hard.
Oh, I don't doubt it. Like, I mean, I think anything you have that sort of explosive success with, you know, it seems like it's a trend, you know, when if you suddenly get super insano famous in a big hurry and don't take steps to handle it too well, it can be real bad for you. And occasionally, this is why I had some amount of respect for what fucking, oh god, it's gone out of my mind. The comedian who did like Charlie Murphy's Hollywood Stories.
Oh, Rick James.
No, not Rick James.
Not Rick James. God, no, that was who was in.
You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, Dave Chappelle. Because he started getting super crazy famous and was like, uh-oh, and like bailed on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is gonna fuck me up.
Where'd she go?
That says nothing about what his comedy's like now. I haven't seen it.
Well, like, I think he got tired of not being able to go anywhere without people shouting his own lines at him.
Yeah, that would be really fucking annoying.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we're gonna put Mox on the ground because he can get off the ground.
I will move.
Like the one story he tells about like going to Disney World with his kids and having this one guy following him around yelling, "I'm Rick James, bitch."
Oh my god, that...
I don't think was a joke, but I think might also not have been entirely a joke, where he's like, you know, I'm trying to be there with my family and this guy's following me around yelling bitch at me, so I just like finally turn around and pop him in the head, and suddenly people are yelling, "Oh god, he killed Mickey Mouse," right?
That was probably like
that was probably
at some point there is an exaggeration. Can you spot it?
Yeah.
Rick Moranis. Yeah, didn't he like just completely leave comedy to
raise his kid?
Yeah,
like didn't his I heard something
like,
happen.
I think I'm done with comedy. I'm gonna go raise my kids.
Yeah.
I was like,
didn't his wife become ill or something, or he was divorced, and he like just
I don't know.
decided, no, I'm gonna raise my kids. Yeah, Dave. Yeah, I think Chappelle also had a thing where people were laughing at him, not with him.
That's awkward.
Where they were using like his insightful comedy about race to laugh at race.
His wife died. That's super shitty.
Oh.
But well, he might be coming back. Yeah, see, we're fortunate that we only get people yelling our lines at us over Twitter.
Yeah.
And I don't even really use Twitter that much anymore. I'm like 90% off Twitter. I read my DMs and at replies occasionally. And then roll my eyes whenever I get dragged into a fucking conversation about anything. I think that Twitter for me has now just become a self-promotion and shit-posting platform, which I staunchly refuse to have any kind of like discussion on.
Fair enough.
Because it's just like, it doesn't fucking work. What the shit?
She's invisible and can just do that.
Okay.
Live on for now, but their time grows ever shorter.
Get the boobzooka.
Okay.
Faced with the prospect of death, your soldiers grasp at any means to delay their passage. What will they tell me were I to grant them?
How did you get this number?
Looks like the Chosen knocked one of our soldiers into a daze. We need to get someone over there to help them get back on their feet before that.
Have we heard of Mastodon? Yeah, well, it's like a Twitter substitute. But I actually can't think of, you know, like, well, how would it be better? I actually can't think of how it would be better. Like, I think that just maybe like that form of social media is just fundamentally flawed.
I had not expected this conflict to be so
I don't.
So once we inflict a certain threshold of damage on her, she leaves.
There you go. I don't think the character limit was a problem. That wasn't the problem.
The sonic dispersal waves emitting from that pod are crisscrossing a massive area.
Gross. Yeah, my problems with Twitter are like even more than just like the moderation problems and content problems and stuff. Like the actual like mechanism itself makes it so that discussion doesn't work. It's really great. Like it's soundbite wars is what it is, and I just like got super tired of it, and I was like, this is fucking garbage, and it just frustrates me. Like I used to have a lot of fun on Twitter because, you know, throwing little messages back and forth and becoming aware of stuff. But it's like the idea of having like any kind of meaningful discussion about anything is literally impossible. I think it's completely futile, and it just turns into a clusterfuck so fucking fast. 9 characters? Wait, you mean Yo? I love that platform. You can only send people the phrase Yo.
That seems handy.
Yeah,
I like that.
It existed for a while. I don't know if it's still there. So. Pew.
Man, I need you guys to hit. Please to be hitting.
I didn't ignore the banning Nazis bit. I went on to say that I have other problems with it.
Enemy still on.
Also, not to get too far into the discussion, but the phrase Nazis on the internet now means anything from real, actual, literal neo-Nazis to people I don't like, and everything in between.
Reveals an almost coordinated attack strategy. Perhaps they're not the mindless automatons they initially appeared to be. An intriguing, but not horrific possibility.
Somebody trying to make Puncher IRL? I hope not. That would be terrible. Like a social media network where you visit and punch people.
It's killing time.
Bang bang.
I go where you tell me.
Oh wait, skirmishers can shoot then move.
Like I said, I've also been off Twitter for a long time for the sake of my own mental health. So, you know. Also, I don't think you're listening to what I said. Like, please expect better of me and understand what it is I'm trying to get at. Yeah, this is what I was afraid of.
Moving to position.
Yeah. Like, please take into context what I'm like, and understand that. Please infer my position on things. You know what I think.
Enemy destroyed.
Come on, focus. Enemy eliminated.
many of these creatures can still be in this city?
Advent has been sending purifier squads into these cities for years, yet somehow the Lost survive, even thrive. We do not know why.
If you start with the Lost and Abandoned DLC, you start the game with one of the 3 factions you don't have to rescue a faction soldier. Huh.
Good riddance.
What was the original XCOM like, and like how was this extrapolated out from it?
The original XCOM had you had much larger squads. Your squads started at 8, I think, and got up to 16 or 20. So you had an action point system instead of 2 actions per turn. So basically it was much more granular. You got to throw a lot more dice, so the RNG tended to even out a lot more. Because if you're doing 3 or 4 actions a turn, 1 miss, whatever, right? And you basically, it was grander feeling,
As you command.
I guess.
Oh wow, that's...
Yeah. It didn't have the character classes. The troops were a bit more the troops were a lot more disposable because this has a heavy RPG element where your characters get classes, which unlock abilities. And that makes them extremely valuable because certain soldiers can only do certain things. And they're a much bigger investment. It was deadlier, but it was good. I haven't played it in a really long time. Oh, and soldier stats were way more heavily randomized. I have not seen the GDC post-mortem.
Oh.
Apparently there was a post-mortem.
Wait, what?
For XCOM at
Oh,
GDC.
that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Just like discussing it.
I did not exist when this city stood whole. Still, I feel revulsion.
The other thing that I really liked about it was that in its tactical game, all the aliens were on the map at the beginning of the game, or at the beginning of the tactical game, and they were maneuvering, right? They were coming for you, they were listening, they were trying to find you and shoot at you. In this, what you do is you wander around the map, and there are like pods of enemies that you interact with, and when you interact with them, they become active. So what happens is that you can selectively engage with certain enemies, but if you try to maneuver around them, you may just trip into another mob that wouldn't do anything if you weren't there. So it actively discourages you from trying to maneuver around the map too much, which I didn't like. And it was this attempt to make things maybe a bit easier on the player by limiting the number of enemies. But what it winds up doing is constraining you to a corridor between you and the nearest active pod. Which I don't think was the intention, but it is the effect.
Enemy done. Ready to go here.
Yeah, XCOM Terror from the Deep was... I read one review of it at the time, which was pros. It's more XCOM. Cons. It's exactly more XCOM.
Yeah.
It's a reskin of XCOM.
That's like...
Only it's did the thing where it started off at the same difficulty level that the first game ended on. Because, and this is apocryphal, I don't know if this is true or not, there was a bug in XCOM UFO Defense, where if you put it to the highest difficulty level, it actually had an overflow error, and it set the difficulty level to 0. So people who wanted a high difficulty XCOM game secretly got the easiest difficulty, and they were like, even on the highest difficulty, this game is way too easy. And so the developers were like, got it, we'll fix that in the sequel.
Oh boy.
So it was just randomly, like, punishingly difficult.
Jeez. Oh, you got a Chivo.
I did.
Oh, Chivos.
I cannot hope without bullets.
God, I wonder, like, is there an episode that we could do about, like, the, like,
I need to reload.
extra, like, the things that exist, like, just on the periphery of video games, like trading cards and Chivos and, like, all that shit.
Oh, yeah.
That has, like, sort of, you know, quietly, well, not even quietly, it's just like it's grown over the years to, to like be a pretty pervasive subject of
Moving as ordered.
video games all over the place. It's just like there's all this stuff that is just kind of
like
ubiquitous.
yeah, like the weird collectible cards you get in Steam.
Loot crates.
Yeah.
And
Okay. Yeah.
cosmetic items and shit like that. I don't know what game we would talk about or whether we would like
Yeah.
have one, because that would be really interesting.
Yeah. Like Overwatch seems like a decent one. PUBG also has that mechanic.
We could probably talk about. Actually,
like-
Overwatch might be the perfect place to talk about that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, once we talk about the game a little bit, we can talk about, you know, because it has Chivo. What, does it have Chivos?
Overwatch?
Yeah, it's.
Now I don't even know.
I don't remember. Hey, does Overwatch have achievements?
I don't think it does.
Yes, it does. Okay. It's got Chivos. I don't think it has trading cards, but it definitely has loot crates. Which are, I mean, and even that on its own.
Oh, right. Yeah, the sprays are unlocked by Chivos.
Right. Okay. I remember now.
It doesn't present them in the same way that Steam does.
Right. Because it's Blizzard, so
Yeah.
it's different. Yeah, because like loot crates and cosmetic items and like digital marketplaces are kind of a contentious issue. Andrew Ferguson has some real strong opinions.
Oh
about
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And it's interesting because like, I mean, we don't usually get guests on it, but like I would try to remember some of the things he said about it because like, well, I should probably save it for the episode. But yeah, that's definitely something that is worth talking about, and I'll have to try to remember to do that when we get to playing Overwatch next week.
Yeah, sure. Let's do Overwatch next week.
Sounds good. Asshole Gandhi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's not the dupes. There's more to it than that. Yeah, we'll talk about it. Jim Sterling gets irritated by loot crates. Yeah, that guy sounds like he has a hard job.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that bullshit with digital homicide is kind of like
dealt
like
with,
fading away. Cause fuck, when I heard his episode about it, I was like, you poor fucking man.
Yeah.
You didn't deserve any of that. Like, being hamstrung in your career by some inept shithead who actually has no idea what they're doing legally.
Yeah.
But presents enough of a threat that they have to be taken seriously. Like, what a fucking horrible experience to have to go through.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Like, I'm gonna litigate against you, but
incredibly
like,
frivolously and ineptly, and I
Yeah.
don't know what I'm doing or what I actually expect, but I'm going to tie you so up in red tape accidentally that your life is going to be a living hell for like months and months and months.
Yeah.
Or maybe even like a year. I can't remember how long it was.
Wasn't it like 2 or 3 years?
Fuck. Can I explain what? If you're talking about Jim Sterling, just watch his video. He does way.
Yeah,
better.
I forget what the video was called, but
If somebody can find it and link it, it's just he said a crappy dev's game was crappy, and the dev sued him for slander.
Mm-hmm.
And his life turned to shit for a while this moron tried to get like $1 million out of him in damages. I was like, ha ha! Oh wait, I actually have to go to court over this.
Yeah, and his lawyer was like,
"You piece of garbage."
Yeah.
Yeah, it was super bad. I feel so awful for that. And, you know, the episode that he did was he's like, I'm finally allowed to talk about this.
Yeah.
So listen up.
$10 million?
$10 million? He didn't even get legal fees. Well, I mean, I hope his Patreon went.
Running out of time here, people.
Tell her to hold as long as she can.
Alright, let's just bug out here.
Yeah.
Show's over anyways, so we're a little
shit.
over time.
Oh, fuck, we are really over time. I wasn't even paying attention.
Yeah, my parking expired 3 minutes ago.
I should eat something.
Alright, so we're going to call it here.
Oh, we gotta do subs real quick.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, God. You know, I'm just gonna start while you're finishing. Malkaresh for 23 months, welcome back. Original Garwolf for 8 months. The sub is brought to you by the Cylon Demolitions. Thoughtlessness guaranteed. Guaranteed void in presence of Battlestar. Arcane Illumination tier to 500 bits. I'm surprised that Alex managed to pull himself away from Hive Swap long enough to the stream. Haven't played it yet. Matley 35, sub for 6 months. Failhammer, sub for 48 months. I legit forgot my resub was up today. Baron Radium for 8 months. Naps to Bluke 1504 for 4 months. Love Talking Simulator. It's always great, insightful. Always really insightful while being super entertaining. Y'all are great. Jake Karnov, sub for 48 months. 4 years! Thank you for the continued delight you bring into my life, and here's to 4 more years. Star Chief Executive, just subscribe. Welcome to the channel. Aussie for 34 months. The important thing is that I'm resubbing. Conry, sub for 10 months in a row. Welcome back. Oh, jeez. Oh no, they're gonna get him. Roasted M&M. Wow, that sounds maybe delicious. 9 months. I'm sorry, I've been skipping these. It was very enjoyable. Dr. Price for 12 months in a row. Thank you for all the content y'all produce. I'm glad you've been able to share the love from over here. Same to you. CW3040 for 9 months. Oh dear God, this sub baby's already been delivered. Where did the time go? Straight to your waistline. Friendly Neighborhood GM for 17 months. Oh hey, figured out the Prime subscription. Dr. McBoop, sub for 9 months. DJ Shire, subscribed for 28 months. Becoming a Minotaur can really disrupt one's life. All of a sudden you're horny old. Boo this human!
Boo.
Insane42 just subscribed. Welcome to the channel. Eospi for 10 months. Oh boy, more XCOM. Commander on deck. Shirts underscore for 39 months. 99% chance to hit. Could go wrong. Tams92 and Runic Scribe, both sub to the channel. Thank you. Welcome. Blackblade 725 sub for 38 months. No comment, just a long haul. Drake SD just subscribed. Welcome to the channel. INAFN just subscribed. Welcome to the channel. Dacilus, I think. Subscribed for 11 months. I'm so glad I got to resub during a Swift Tilting Talking Simulator. The GTF sub for 29 months. Welcome to the channel. Mennonite42 for 17 months. I hope you guys are doing well in the new Moonbase. It's been a rough month, but thanks for being online and sharing your lives with us. It does help us feel less alone. You do a good thing. It always really touches me to hear those things, and I try really hard to internalize it, and I hope I'm doing something. I hope we're doing something. And, well, you tell us that we do, so makes it worthwhile. Earthanon with 51 bits, hashtag charity. Molly Lewis!
Hey!
Hey, I know her! She's cool. 10 months. Thank you, Dr. Cam, for the expression. Trying to teach wet to a fish. It was just the phrase I've been looking for, especially at PAX. Envoy of Goats, just sub, welcome to the channel. Periapsis, 13 for 3 months, welcome back. SM Quinn 22, sub for 5 months, talking about simulations. Digital replication of your physical selves. Never played XCOM, but looks odd but weird. It is.
Odd but weird.
Pinnacle Chaos, cheered with 50 bits. OP74 for 12 months, a year DAG, and Talking Sim, nice. And STGTS, sub for 13 months. I chose this over a spoken word show and was not disappointed. Well, I'm glad that we were able to entertain and hopefully inform a little bit. So
yeah, my TLDR for this, or my so what for this, is that I really enjoy this game. I'm heavily predisposed to like XCOM, and as before, I should probably mention that the executive producer for this expansion pack gifted it to me because he actually likes our content. That was humbling. So probably any commentary on this game is going to be colored a bit by that. That being said, I did share a lot of things I didn't like about it, and I swore at it heavily on my home stream. I just swore at it for hours and hours and hours. But here I am playing it again. My takeaway on it is that it has a problem where it's trying to load a lot of things very heavily on the player, and you saw us after that mission clicking through like 12 screens of entirely new stuff to deal with. But moreover, XCOM has never given us a world worth fighting for, and can only characterize its villains in these very broad ways.
Almost generic ways.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. And, I mean, the gameplay is really compelling, so that's the actual motivation there.
Yeah.
But, thematically, it would be nice to have that.
Yeah. I want more out of my resistance. I want a world worth fighting for. Like in my strategy games especially.
Yeah.
I play Civilization because I'm allowed to tweak my civilization in such a way that I can actually build a world that I would want to live in. And I'm not allowed to do that here, even though I'm fighting for humanity. Capital H humanity, and I don't know what the game thinks that means.
Yep.
Because here we are running through these cities, blowing things up, murdering tons of people, and sacrificing a lot of people for something. Don't know what it is, but it's big and legitimate
Well, I'll
sounding.
get to it later.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll sort itself out. And I don't know how this game would present that even. I don't know how, because it's definitely already dense with stuff, right? It's a challenge.
Yeah.
It's a challenge I'd really like to see solved, basically.
All right. Well, that's it for this week. Tomorrow and the next day, I hope you like Magic. Because there's going to be a bunch of it. It's the Ixalan pre-release. With a bunch of cool folks, and we're going to play a bunch of Magic. I probably won't be here. I'll be off doing something. Probably doing comics or something.
Yeah, definitely.
But, until next
I'll
time.
be playing Saturday with brand new Magic cards, and you won't. No, wait.
Well, eventually.
We should, you'll be allowed.
They get to try them next week, and then they get to play them in Standard the week after.
Yeah. But the important part is I get to do it before you do. No, wait, that's not the important part.
You're just fucking our branding right now.
Yeah, I'm just totaling our branding.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, please watch. We're really excited. It's a pleasure to do it.
See ya later.
Mm-hmm.